Good morning, this is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. The Budget Committee of the National Assembly is expected to submit its report to Parliament next week after completing the public participation on the 3% affordable housing levy, with President William Ruto showing no signs of letting go his ambitions. The President has asked the leaders to provide the truth about the plan because Kenyans have been asking questions about it.
The intense national debate on housing is not about whether it is a tax or a contribution. The attention sharply focused on the housing contributions is an implicit expression of ownership. People desire better information and stronger assurance regarding the custody, security, investment, and return on their money. That is phenomenal. People are interested. How will their money be? Will it be safe? Will it be stolen? How is it going to benefit them?
He emphasized that apart from ensuring that Kenyans, especially those with low incomes, get better housing, more than 1 million jobs will be created in various sectors.
A single housing unit is capable of employing 3 to 5 workers directly and an additional 8 workers indirectly in the manufacturing of construction products, in transport, in logistics, and in all other sectors that contribute to the housing and construction industry. Secondly, the objective of affordable housing is to increase the number of homeowners and to transition more Kenyans from rent paying in informal settlements, in slums, and we have 1,411 slums in Kenya. We should transition those people.
This is happening at a time when Azimio leader Raila Odinga has given President William Ruto until Monday to withdraw the bill. Several members have been opposing the proposals in the Finance Bill 2023, calling it oppressive. And Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has asked Kenyans to give President William Ruto time to steer the nation. Speaking in name with the DP, said that the President has a grand plan but will deliver when given time.
Your Excellency, we want to encourage you that millions of Kenyans, desirous of economic prosperity, are fully behind you. We want to encourage you that many Kenyans, though quiet, have confidence that the measures you have come up with will improve the welfare of the Kenyan people. We want to urge all Kenyans to allow our President an opportunity to steer this country back to economic prosperity.
Concerning the proposed Finance Bill 2023, Gachagua asked leaders to support the legislative measures that the government is proposing at the National Assembly.
Your Excellency, we want to urge our leaders to continue being steadfast as they support all the legislative measures that your government has proposed in the National Assembly to allow this country to get away from public debt and fund our own development and recurrent expenditure.
And Kirui Governor Eric Mutai and his deputy Fred Kirui faced off publicly during the country's Madaraka Day celebrations. Now, a seemingly enraged Governor Mutai lectured his deputy of what he termed as preaching petty politics after the latter, in his address, complained over disrespect and lack of adequate resources to enable him to traverse the county. A bitter exchange erupted after DG Kirui faulted the county leadership for not facilitating him with adequate fuel, revealing that he had to dig into his pocket to fuel his vehicle.
Mambo yote ambayo nimewaambia, kwenda kule Itare nilienda na mafuta yangu, kwenda sehemu gani ninaenda tu mimi mwenyewe, na nataka nifanyie kazi wananchi. Hii ni serikali ambayo inaitwa coalition government, na coalition government lazima kuwa na ile kitu inaitwa respect. I respect the government. Governor, please also respect me. Na maneno mingi itaisha. Sitaki mambo mengi. Respect is what we need from each other.
In a rejoinder, however, the county boss scoffed at his deputy's remarks, opinining that he should have not brought such issues in public. Mutai laughed off Kirui's claims of not being provided with fuel, saying that the latter had 2 vehicles compared to him, who owned only 1.
You have 2 vehicles, yours and an escort car. Me, I only have 1, but you have 2. We can increase for you to be 3. We can double the fuel from 150 to 300. But what I'm just saying is that we must stop these things that we go out there and discuss issues that are supposed to be. It makes us look stupid. We may have our own internal issues, but the best way to do is to come to the office and we discuss these issues.
This is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry. Hapo.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Congratulations. You've seen the hand of the Lord.
Thank you very much. I've earned another title today, this morning at Spice FM. Mama Justice, I don't mind it.
Joel in Kericho.
Salama sana Heri, habari ya asubuhi.
Salama bwana, mambo namna gani?
Salama kabisa bro.
Mambo ya Aina Moi kuliendaje?
Mambo ya Aina Moi, vile nilikwambia ndugu yangu, alienda asubuhi na ile gari ya kwanza.
I must have missed it.
So did I.
Even if somebody was to render you irrelevant, there is still work you can do.
Okay, sawa.
I deserve to keep you accountable. You deserve to give me a report. You don't work for me. No, I don't work for you. You work for me.
Do you like that Freudian slip? Lovely, isn't it? Thank you very much.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanya.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It gets over.
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes?
What the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu.
And Friday, it's bound to be a busy one. A lot of outbound traffic definitely will be happening today. But let's see how it is starting out right now. A little bit of traffic on Jogo Road. We'll see some of that as you go out into the city. Mombasa Road is not looking too bad. Maybe a little bit of as you get to the Nyeri Stadium roundabout and then out onto Uhuru Highway. But for now, you should be okay. Are you coming off of Fika Super Highway? A little bit of traffic here and there as you get towards the Drift and then out towards the Pangani Underpass. But I don't think we'll see anything earth moving or shaking before 7. So guys are getting to and fro where they need to be after the holiday. Let's see what happens as we get into the morning. Talk to us on Spice FM KE on Twitter, and let's keep things moving this Friday.
.9 Spice FM, Mombasa. This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
Like that. Like that. Imagine. Like that. Ndu?
Yes.
How are you?
I am fine, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Siti Muga?
Yes, Eric Latif.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Mambo ilikuwa namna gani jana?
Mambo ilikuwa bam bana.
Yeah.
You know,
here
I kept getting surprised, and I had to ask my Uber driver what had happened today. Why is there no traffic? But Mzee, since Madaraka there, I said, you know, this thing of coming to work on Madaraka did disorient you.
Completely?
Yeah, you know, it's nice. I actually like it, but somewhere in my mind, I forgot that on a public holiday, there will be very little traffic. Yes. See, what stuck in my mind is I have been at work, I'm now leaving work. And it's that work mindset I'm thinking, where's the traffic? There's usually traffic at such and such a time. So, of course, I asked. And I was given an appropriate answer, which brought me back to reality. Yes.
Back to life. Back to reality. Where are you going? No, where are you going? Seriously.
No. I was looking at that picture. I got the impression that my fly zipper was down.
So
let me ask you, what would you have done about it like now?
I couldn't remove the picture.
For a moment there, you were a bit concerned. Like, oh my goodness, what did they do?
Here?
These people. Can't you just see something? Surely.
Eric, you look genuinely happy. Actually, both of you look genuinely happy in this picture.
Yes, we are happy. We were well then.
Oh wow! You make it seem like such a long time ago.
Yes, it was a long time ago.
Used to be well.
It was a long time. And we were younger.
The days of our lives.
Yes. Okay.
When was this photo taken, by the way?
I'm not sure.
It's not very long ago. It was just last month.
Was it?
No, it wasn't last month.
Okay, then the month before.
Was it this year?
No, it wasn't this year either.
Wasn't this year?
Sure.
It was not this year.
No, you're right. You're right. I didn't even smile like that this year.
But
you're not all together there. I've realized. Not everything is working in tandem. No. No.
Anyway, happy post Madaraka, everybody. Welcome to the Situation Room. Let me tell you, today we have conversations. It's Friday. We'll have a Health Friday conversation. I'll tell you about it shortly. But at 7 a.m., we'll be hosting Dr. Nikos Nicolaou. Dr. Nikos Nicolaou is the founder and CEO of UNICEF. He'll be here to talk to us about providing high quality and accessible education to students in Africa. He'll tell us what that means. 8 a.m., right of reply to the Siaya County Government Executive. Remember, we had William Odwol, the Deputy Governor of Siaya County, and he was here and he was unleashing things left, right, and center and saying, wow, you know what I discovered? And then I discovered. And then upon inquisition, I further discovered. So now today, we've asked the county government, the governor's office, hey, so you respond. They are sending the Minister for Finance from Siaya County. CPA Benedict Omolo is the CCM for Finance and Economic Planning at the county government of Siaya. He comes in to explain to us what's happening in Siaya. Right of reply, they get, we hear them. He'll be here at 9 a.m. That Health Friday conversation, autism, delayed speech in children. We'll have a speech therapist, Wombo Imbogwa, joining us at 9 a.m. for that one. For that one. There are various forms of autism.
There are.
Oh, yes. There's mild, there's extreme.
There's some that go unnoticed. You wouldn't know until much later. You know, there's autism.
And it manifests in many ways. There's speech, there's others.
Dyslexia.
Yes.
Hey. So, she'll be here. Wabui will come. It's 6:15. We're live streaming the show on YouTube and Facebook, and we're preparing ourselves, warming up to run on Saturday at the what?
The annual Mata Hat Run takes place tomorrow, the 3rd of June. I don't know if you can make a last-minute scramble to be able to get your T-shirt at 1,000 shillings, or your cap at 500, or your wristband at 300. Try today at any Naivas outlet. See if you can do it. Register for the run tomorrow. And what you do is that you're able to run for those who are not able to afford this necessary healthcare, surgeries, or other kind of treatment across the country. 120 million is the target this year for 140,000 children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's that time again when we get to gather around and marvel at the great engineering, raw power, finesse, and sharing our round motor love for motoring at the annual Digger Motor Show 2023. From car lovers, bike enthusiasts, spare part dealers, insurance, as well as asset financiers and more, this year's Digger Motor Show will be one for the books. We're talking a whole 4-day event from Thursday 20th to Sunday 23rd at KICC Grounds, Nairobi, where we will have something for everyone, so you better not miss out. Get the family, bring your friends, and share in the joys that will give you lasting memories and an experience you're bound to not forget. For more information or participation, contact Caroline on 0723-803601 or email sinyandiaka@standardmedia.co.ke. Digger Motor Show 2023 is brought to you by Standard Group and Digger Motors and is powered by Spice FM.
Degrees in Nairobi, 16 mostly cloudy. In Nairobi, highs of 23 and lows of 15. It's 15 and partly cloudy in Nakuru. It will go to highs of 26. 23 will be the high in a cloudy Nyeri at 15. And at 12, it's mostly clear in Eldoret. We'll see highs of 24 through Friday. It's 24 and mostly clear in Mombasa, highs of 30. And we'll see highs of 29 in a partly cloudy Malindi at 25. It's clear at 20 in Kisumu, highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 27 in a clear Kakamega at 16. Looking out into Kampala, it's 19 and mostly cloudy, highs of 28, while Dar es Salaam will see highs of 28 as well, currently at 24. It's 6 degrees in Johannesburg, highs of 20, and Lagos will go to highs of 30. Partly cloudy conditions through the day. It's mostly clear at 23 in Kinshasa, highs of 31, and Beijing Friday afternoon is sunny at 27, highs of 31 and lows of 19, while at 10 degrees it's mostly cloudy in Paris, highs of 22, highs of 19, and lows of 9 in London, while New York Thursday night is clear at 18. We'll see highs of 29 and lows of 17.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
94.
Who's awake? Who's online?
Everybody. Tiriwa is locked in this morning. Yeah, Tiriwa. Okay. Faristo Muganda also says Nico Ndani and Pangom Zima were the Situation Room. Dani at Spice FM. Okay, those
things like that, in whatever order.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Esther Thafi. Okay, is it Thati? Taffy?
Spell it.
Thathi.
Thathi.
What's wrong with you? You all right?
It is the. It's not
Is
that.
Oh, is it that?
Or is it that he?
Esther.
How do you pronounce Eric?
Vavi.
No.
He said it's the.
Yeah.
That is the.
Vavi.
What is the thathi?
You must excuse us. I mean, speaking to somebody who drinks from crockery and eats with silverware. All right. Cheka Enoch says good morning. Helen Jogona says good morning. And Ondicho says, City, today you're so hilarious. I think it's an everyday phenomenon. I don't think it's today alone, Ondicho. Collins Kipsat says it's Friday. Hamjambo Wenzangu. Good to see you. Genuinely happy indeed. Great weekend, guys. Asante sana. Robert Mbogo says good morning. He's tuning from Mombasa. And Dennis wa Murkwijit says Kapenguria inasikiliza. Inasikiliza.
Wapi huko?
Kapenguria.
Sawa.
Pokot. See, I got it this time.
You got it.
Thank you
well
very
done.
much. Ali Muhammad says, good morning, the great team of Kenya's biggest conversation. Asante sana. Good to, and happy to have joined you. Thank you for joining us from Pangani this morning. Who else is online today? Quite a number of folks. Generali Wayesu. Good morning to you. Jose says, good morning from Imaradaima. Atieno says, tuned in from Nyahera. With the Faculty of Information, Hadi Tamati. What's Tamati?
And
until the end. Voila.
Muiso.
So, okay. Clyde Nanja Kululu says good morning from Roiro, and George is tuning in this morning. Joanne says excellent, has given us a flower. Flowers to you and to you. Hamjambo Wenzangu, good to see you. Checking in with other folks who are online this morning. Good morning, Ednah and team. Ednah, we are at your service. Good morning. Bernard Kemmel says Juma Mubarak, streaming from Qatar. Good morning to you. Tune in from Nova Scotia in Canada. Yesterday we had someone more talkative than Professor Muga. Who is that? Tune in from Moscow. Russia. Vesh Musanga is tuned in. And good morning, Spicians. Everybody's being greeted. Homa Bay.
Wait, is that night in chicken? That's chicken.
Yeah.
6:22 a.m.
Yeah.
Ednah is eating chicken.
Good for her.
Talk to me.
Okay.
Even look at them.
Okay.
That's all right.
Chicken. Okay.
Chicken. All right.
Guys.
Alumanju.
You guys drank tea. Did anybody ask you you're drinking tea?
No, please.
So leave the chicken eaters alone.
Okay.
Sour. We're sorry.
Sour.
Okay. Good morning, Spice. Tune in and watch it live, and I'm not going away. Allah, wonderful.
Stay here.
Yeah, stay right here. Tuned in from Seattle, looking forward to an analysis of Madaraka Day. Why now? Sadoma says, good morning, tuning from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Karibuni sana.
Hiya. City.
Yes, please.
Final Malagasy.
This is our final day. Final Proverbs.
You told us the president of this country
used to be a DJ.
Yes.
No, it was the previous president who used to be a DJ.
That's what I'm saying. The president used to be a DJ.
Well, the president of this particular country is called Andrei, A-N-D-R-Y, Rajoelina. That's his name. His prime minister is called Christian Ntsay, N-T-S-A-Y. All right?
NTSA Uko.
Yes, Uko, not the NTSA. Ntsay. Or either it's say or say, I'm not certain.
Or NTSAY, man.
Yes, that's it. I'd like someone to tell me, do you know what the currency of Madagascar is called?
The currency of Madagascar?
Yes.
It's not rupees.
Try again.
Dollars.
You wouldn't know. Even I didn't know until I read it. So
okay.
It's
So
it's called Ariary.
I would have guessed.
A what?
A-R-I-A-R-Y. No, I know it's a big difference. It's not Oliari. It is Ariary. And it is spelled with an R, not an L.
Ariary.
Yes. Weskia?
Ariary.
Yeah, Ariary. Not Harry.
Not Harry.
Aye. Right. Right. This country is the 46th largest country in the world. Okay? Second largest island country after Indonesia. Namna hiyo. Sasa, final proverb from this country.
Yes.
Sadness is available treasure only discovered by people you love.
Pardon?
Suddenly?
Sadness. is a valuable treasure.
Oh, me, I heard available.
No, it's also available, but it is a
Valuable treasure.
Valuable treasure only discovered by people you love.
About you. Do they discover it about you?
Sadness is a valuable treasure only discovered by people you love.
Your own sadness or just sadness generally?
Sadness generally as a concept.
Okay.
As an idea.
Omo, that one hurts me small.
This one?
It's a valuable treasure.
It's a valuable.
It's a valuable treasure.
Just think of the song. Every time you go away.
Sing.
I've already sung.
Continue.
I'm not going to sing.
Why are you dulling this morning, City?
You see,
What happens every time you go away?
You take a piece of me with you.
So
it's a song. I'm bringing in the concept of sadness.
Sadness.
So sadness manifests every time you go away. A little part of me goes with you. Oh, you're in fine form today, City. Headlines. More promises as Kenya turns 60. One, affordable housing. Okay. The program aims to enable Mama Mboga access and afford a mortgage. These are the highlights of President William Ruto's speech yesterday. And he urged the country to back his reform plan, saying the future can only be safeguarded through the measures he's putting in place, like the housing fund and job creation. Prioritizing the processing and value addition of agricultural products. The government has stepped up the establishment of 5 additional export zones in this financial year in the name of Sagana, Thika, Njoro, Eldoret, and Busia. Now, borders will be able to ride electric motorcycles by September. What a shock.
Wait a moment. I don't understand the statement. So, is it that the electrical bicycles will be available in September?
Or that by September they would have learned to ride them?
The electric bicycles, or
motorcycle.
Is it? Okay, motorcycle.
There will not be motor if they are electric. Well, there will be because they'll be using an electric motor. Okay.
In other words,
electric
upgrade is upgrade. Stitty, stop it. Stop it. Do you hear me? I'm reading number 5. Stop it.
Okay. So people from Membu are going to be riding an electrical bicycle. They're like, sour. Go on.
What a shock. Number 5. Government is committed to delivering universal health coverage. And number 6. The National Open University will obtain its charter. Sawa?
Okay.
Okay. Let me tell you other things according to the headlines. The state steps up plans for 250 billion shilling euro bond.
That's a spirit.
I'm telling you, Madaraka.
That's
Here
a spirit.
we are. On the front page of The Nation, Ruto, this is my promise to you. Again, talks about transport, health, education, and the Hustler Fund. He was in full form yesterday in Embu, as he talked about, where he would like the country to go. And he's basically asking for Kenyan support to go ahead and do this. All right. On the back page of The Nation, well, let me look at the front page where something about a sweetened deal. Sugar prices make not sweetened actually. Sugar prices make a bad economic situation worse. The average price of sugar has risen by a staggering 22.1%. No, it's more low. On the back page of The Nation, Treasury to table cabinet memo on pending bills. My goodness, shoot me with okay. Another one to be tabled on pending bills in terms of how much is owed and when all of this will be paid. Knock me over with a feather. Health Ministry gets PSC's approval on renewal of health workers' contracts. Remember that thing where they said, you know what? We are not working because we don't have contracts. You want us to work? Give us contracts. So the ministry has gotten approval to renew that. So yay, isn't it? That's what the headlines are. We'll give you more of those stories as we go along.
Okay, let me tell you what's on the Business Daily. Pale, state revives plans to lease 5 ports in 1 trillion shilling U-turn. President William Ruto's administration will lease the operations and management of 5 critical ports, through an ambitious 1.4 trillion shilling PPP aimed at revitalizing the country's maritime industry. In what appears to be a change of heart on a proposal by the previous administration to hand ports private investors, the Kenya Development Corporation, a development finance institution, has disclosed the Kenya Kwanza administration is scouting for private players to run sections of Kilindini Harbour, Dongo Kundu Port, Lamu Port, Kisumu Port, and Shimoni Fisheries Port. Sawa.
Ni sawa.
PPP. Remember the other issue, those we talked about Dubai Port, and Dubai Port had been told come in, and there was a whole furore around it.
About the contract.
Yeah. It just didn't go far away. Ilifika pale nje ikaitwa. It's back. Treasury mulls mini budget to clear 641 billion shilling pending bills.
There it is.
The Treasury will table a cabinet memorandum next week spelling out its plans to clear the 641 billion shilling bills that the government owes contractors and suppliers. According to Treasury PS Chris Kipto, speaking to the National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee, the state corporations owe suppliers and contractors 407 billion, county governments 160 billion, ministries and departments and agencies 18 billion. He says the cabinet is expected to approve the formation of a multi-agency team to review the huge pending bills, establish a budget for clearance of the debts by September this year. Yeah. There's a headline in the Nairobi, and I'm going to tell you. So the Nairobi has revamped. It's a new look, and actually today it has more pages. It's thicker. Thicker Nairobian. City church in sex drama. Apparently there's a rogue pastor who's preaching that sleeping with many partners is the way to go. I'll tell you that story.
Okay.
City.
Yes, please.
What's in the Star?
The Star on the top right-hand corner in burnt brown.
Okay, sorry.
Siasa. Ruto's dwindling options in the battle against Azimio's Raila. Okay? And they say the Siasa headline is The Cornered Man. Okay. The drum we put into these things. Star. Headline Ruto, my plan will put money in your pockets. Calls for patriotic calls for patriotic sacrifice akin to selflessness shown by independence heroes. Good. Kenya puts aside its trouble to celebrate 60th Madaraka.
Good.
Right? Then a little more shocking, a little disturbing. There's a story on the side, just front page, where police in Homa Bay have summoned 5 family members of a grade 1 pupil who allegedly died of suicide at home.
Grade 1?
7-year-old.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Strange story.
Yeah.
That one?
Like
We'll read it and then you tell us shortly. Let's take a look at traffic.
Yes.
27 minutes to 7. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. Happy Friday. Time to look at the traffic.
When the engine revs, will you be ready to get all that petrolhead enthusiasm at this year's annual Digger Motor Show? Well, you better belt up and make your way to KICC from the 20th to the 23rd of July 2023 for a wholesome 4-day event. Come and join car lovers, bike enthusiasts, spare part dealers, insurance as well as asset financiers, and more for what will be an unforgettable experience by far. We are going all out to make it a great show for you and the whole family with something for everyone. So, you better not miss out. For more information or participation, contact Caroline on 0723803601 or email sinyandiaka@standardmedia.co.ke. Digger Motor Show 2023 is brought to you by Standard Group and Digger Motors and is powered by Spice FM.
All right, looks like it's going to be a busy Friday outbound. Outbound traffic on the Thika Superhighway starting to pile up as you get towards the junction, entering through going towards Thika Town. Into the city, doesn't look too bad, but we'll see some movement for sure at that underpass. As you get then out towards Murang'a Road, it's going to continue for some time. Coming off of Waiyaki Way in Westlands, it's also looking pretty busy. Parklands, not too much. Limuru Road still waking up to the realization that you must go to work today, even after you finished doing holiday yesterday. So we'll wake up at some point and realize, there's traffic. Yes, it's going to happen. All right, we're also looking at traffic coming off. Where is this? This is Kangundo Road, and it's pretty heavy as you're going towards Outer Ring, which isn't looking too bad actually right now. North Airport Road, passable. Not much in terms of traffic. That's going to pile up later. We're still looking at early pickings this morning. Let's know what's going on where you are. Gong Road still looks pretty good, so there's an option for you to get in and out really quickly before it does pile up. Let's talk on Spice FM, KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Strange story. Grade 1 pupil dies in Homa Bay. Police quiz relatives. This is how the story goes. Police in Homa Bay town have summoned 5 family members of a grade 1 pupil who allegedly died by suicide. This gentleman is called Tony Uma, was a pupil at Pap Ndege Primary School. Pap is meaning field, Ndege is aeroplane, the field of the aeroplane, meaning an airstrip, okay, in Homa Bay. Was found dead by siblings on Tuesday. He was 7 years old. Now, this is where it gets bizarre. Tony reportedly used a bathing cloth to commit suicide at his homestead in Pap Ndege. Okay? This is what they said. The boy's neck was tied with a bathing net made of manila. Okay? The net was tied to a wire used for hanging clothes, and the body was in a kneeling position. I tried picturing this thing. I'm still not seeing.
So, that net for bathing, tied it around his neck.
Yes.
Tied it to
a wire that is used for hanging clothes.
A wire used for hanging clothes. That means it's definitely...
It's a clothesline.
It's a clothesline.
Yes.
This is a 7-year-old. That means the clothesline is, of course, taller than him and higher than him.
Yes.
And he was found in a kneeling position.
Yes. According to the father, the body was discovered by one of his sons when he was going to the latrine. The body was naked and had bruises.
And he's said to have killed himself.
Yes. How they arrived at that conclusion, I don't understand. But the case is going on. Because post-mortem will be done, but it hasn't been done yet. Okay? It's very bizarre.
7-year-old?
Yes. Look at that process. The manila used for bathing. We understand, we know that one.
Yeah.
Then the clothing line. A 7-year-old.
Yeah.
No. Something happened here. Somebody else was involved in this whole thing.
Yeah.
7-year-old,
No.
But I'm sure we'll come out. Eric, remember yesterday you were talking about this road in Kisii. The place is called Bobasi. Yes.
So, tell us the story.
Yes. It's a 17-kilometer road. Okay? It's Igare Mochengo Nyacheki Road.
That's the road. Igare Mochengo Nyacheki.
Yes, exactly. They even have a picture of it. Okay? This one, just looking at it, if it rains,
it's over.
This one.
And it rains in Kisii.
It rains almost every single day. Now, residents of Mochengo and Bobasi Kisii are protesting against the delay of the improvement of a 17-kilometer road that has remained impassable for over 15 years. The locals claim that the Igare Mochengo Nyacheki Road was designated for tarmacking over 10 years ago, and they allege that the project was redirected to the neighboring ward. And when the residents staged a protest against what they refer to as a protest on false promises from their leaders, accusing them of neglecting a section of the constituents area. John Onsumo said the road, which passes through Basi Central, is crucial for traders operating in Achekia and Igare markets to reach their homes before it starts raining.
Yay.
Well, you know.
Power to the people.
Power to the people. Power to the people. Power indeed to the people.
Completely.
Yes.
Power to the people. Okay. Before you tell us those serious stories of, what's happening in terms of, driving electric motorcycles.
Thank you very much. In September.
In September, detectives are trying to establish whether a church in Nairobi has been encouraging followers to engage in sex sessions. Sleuth swung into action following a tip-off about the bizarre happenings at a building in Udero where residents had initially thought it was a genuine church, only to start doubting its teachings after it emerged it was a cultic organization promoting immorality. This church is tucked between Odero, Marigoine and Mabatini settlements, and it came to the limelight after a whistleblower on social media brought the matter to public attention. It's after this whistleblower lifted the lid on the activities that happened in the church that locals started coming out to openly talk about the dark side of this church. They say sex orgies choreographed as preaching sessions are the main activity at church, where the real leaders remain mysterious. According to locals, the majority of the followers are the youth, and female members are usually skimpily dressed. A source told the Nairobian that the pastor promotes the ideology that Adam and Eve at the Garden of Eden were naked, and therefore nudity is godly.
Hey, God in heaven. Nairobi.
Yeah.
Wales.
Further, the members are encouraged to eat all fruits in the Garden of Eden. You get it? You get it? The church rides on false doctrine pegged on the Garden of Eden biblical episode depicting Adam and Eve. The lead pastor teaches that no one is owned by anyone. And therefore, you can sleep with anyone in the church. They have no problem with lesbians or gays. This church should not only be closed, but the followers hauled into court and charged, according to one of the neighbors. Okay. It is suspected to be having branches in Ruiru, Molo, and Ongata Rongai.
Branches care.
It's church, this church.
Hey, God.
Spreading its wings.
If supermarkets can have branches, why can't churches?
Really?
Really.
Now, police raided this place and they took some members to the Kibera lockouts.
What's the charge?
There are no lockouts in between Udiru and they had to go all the way to Kibera.
When the... There's no lockout.
See, Udiru is in Kiambu.
There's no lockout between Kiambu
Udiru is in Kiambu.
Yeah.
There are no lockouts in Kiambu.
So you take them to a court that you know.
That deals with right things properly.
When the alarm was raised about the church's strange creed, officers based at Kabete police station conducted a raid and arrested 6 members. They're facing terror-related charges.
Terrorism.
Though investigations are not complete. They first were arraigned in a Kibera court before being transferred to the Kahawa Terrorism Court.
It can be a terrorist act, actually.
Where?
What I like about this report is that now citizens are beginning to report bizarre occurrences.
Yes.
Now they're reporting it. It didn't start yesterday. It didn't start when it was reported. This thing has been going on for some time. And it means people knew, which now lends itself to this understanding that a lot of people knew about Shakahola.
Yes, now. For sure.
But also, a lot of people may have reported it. So you want to ask, why is it that nothing was done? Until literally, and pun intended here, all hell broke loose.
I don't know. Look. I can't. I don't know. And you know what, for me, what the scary thing is about some of these things is that the ones that you hear about are the ones that you hear about.
Yep.
Unimaginable the nonsense that is taking place that doesn't ever come to light.
Oh, yeah. Tell us.
Okay, Treasury. There are many, but let me tell you this one because it has been a bone of contention. Unfortunately, we have seen people lose their lives. People have died waiting for their bills to be paid by government. It has not happened. Now, Treasury is to table cabinet memo on pending bills. This is important. The National Treasury will next week table a cabinet memorandum outlining the mechanism to clear the 641 billion shillings owed to contractors and suppliers. All right. Treasury Principal Secretary Chris Kipto told the National Assembly's Budget and Appropriations Committee that state enterprises owe suppliers and contractors 407 billion shillings, county governments 160 billion, and ministries and departments 18.3 billion. He said the cabinet is expected to approve the formation of an interministerial team to review the huge outstanding bills and come up with a budget to clear them by September. At the same time where these electric things will be driving. September, clear them, 641, so that by September the bill will be reading what? Zero.
Actually, can I say something?
Let me finish reading the story.
Please finish reading the story.
He said the team will comprise of officials from the Ministry of Finance, Office of the Auditor General, Ministry of Roads, Public Works and Housing, Public Procurement Regulatory Authority, and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. It will also include members from the Law Society of Kenya, the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, and the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. The cabinet memo will be presented to cabinet next week. By September, we must have done a review of all pending bills and come up with a budget that will clear all outstanding payments to suppliers and contractors. Not can we, shall we? We must.
Right.
Okay.
Where's the money coming from?
What's your problem?
Huh?
Which money?
Are they floating a bond? What are they doing?
There's some bond I saw somewhere for some 250 billion. It's possible that maybe they will remove some of the money from there. But it's not enough because pending bills are 641 billion.
640 billion shillings is a lot of money, my friend.
It is, my dear. It's 3 times more than this bond that they want to float.
Hey.
Correct? Okay. Now, let me tell you where they said they're getting the money from.
Okay.
Kipto said the Treasury would formulate a supplementary budget to clear all these outstanding bills that are deemed payable. Now, let me tell you the job of this interministerial people.
Task force.
Thank you. That sounds nice. Their job is to look through all these bills and tell you which one is payable, which one is a lie, which one was doctored, which one doesn't make sense, which one has outlived in terms of statutes.
Kipto?
Then, after they've done all of that, every single bill that has been deemed payable by this task force, September.
Kipto was a PS in the other administration, right? All the time, Uhuru was saying, we're paying.
October 30th,
They formed a whatever thing to look at those spending bills.
Interministerial.
They did. They looked into the authenticity of the pending bills. Did they not? They want to do another one.
Not only did they, you remember a report was given and they said they had arrived at an understanding as to who would be paid
and who would not. Yes. And they even started paying. According to that.
And we even told, we were given a time by which all these debts would have been paid.
Yes.
October 31st,
yes,
2021.
So this story we're being told is which one now?
It's another one. It's another story.
And the supplementary budget.
Yes.
Supplementary budget.
Alafu. They said after we clear all, there's even a plan for after we clear all the pending bills, the pending bills that will then arise from 2023-2024
will be cleared within 21 days.
No, aspirational, but not really. Will then be the first burden after June next year for that budget. You understand?
So anything that is accrued between now and June next year will be paid
next year. That's the first order of business for that time. Okay. He said, as National Treasury, now you see the difference between now, Titi, you're asking the difference between then and now. Let me tell you the difference. As National Treasury, they're going to be very strict with those entities that fail to clear pending bills in the financial year in which they arise. That's the difference. That they're going to be very strict. Okay. President,
I have not understood.
President William Ruto last month accused his predecessor's administration, in which he was the deputy president, of hiding more than 200 billion shillings in pending bills. So however you want to look at that, that's okay. When we came to office, we found that they had not accounted for about 130 billion in outstanding bills and almost 90 billion that was supposed to be given to counties. So that's another story. Parliament launched investigations into all allegations of diversion of payments meant for suppliers, which was blamed for the growing outstanding bills. So they said, you're saying 640 billion is a lot of money. There was also the thinking that perhaps some of these bills are bloated. So that's why the money looks a lot. But we don't know the result of that investigation. So for now, the pending bills are 641 billion. The important thing for guys, focus. The important thing here
we're clearing
is that we're clearing these bills by September. Can just focus on that, okay?
641 billion shillings.
Yes. So
it is important, I think, that people be paid what they are owed.
Yeah.
But this is a fraction, a small portion of the discussion about the pending bills. Because all these bills were not incurred in a day. Over a period of time, counties, national governments has budgets, and the budgets were intended for projects, and these projects are what the monies were attached to.
Yeah.
For some strange reason, there is no county that has told us that the monies that they had set aside for these projects is sitting in a bank somewhere, waiting to pay the people who are owed when they've sorted out and determined if they really owed. These monies were spent. And the discussion as to where these monies went, no one wants to have. Because these monies went somewhere. Because clearly, if the vendors who had actually conducted and performed and completed the tasks that they had won tenders for were not paid, then where did the money go to?
That's a good question.
And why is it every once in a while a budget is created, money set aside to pay these bills, and the pending bills just remain? Surely, where does this money go to?
Like in Kenya is a crime scene.
Telling you, nonsense.
Kenya is just one big crime scene.
In February, you guys, look, let me just, so that you can, in February, this same thing that you're talking about, Parliament set up yet another committee to investigate this bloated, however was where did this question that you're asking that where did the money go to? That was in February. What month are we in now? We're in May. No,
June. We're in June. Me almost said July. It's June.
We're in June. Nobody has said beep.
Yes.
About that investigation. Nobody has said nothing. So that question that you're asking.
But that story is actually being perpetuated with other government projects. There's this mighty expressway that we have here. Have you seen the amounts being put aside for rehabilitating which part of the road which something happened to? And how many times we've heard of budgets being allocated to rehabilitate? I mean, there are
wait a minute.
Huge astronomical amounts.
Wait one hot Nairobi minute. These people told us that they were supposed to start preparing the lower road in 8 weeks. But
they've done it, haven't you seen?
Where?
They've painted the road, they expanded, they ate the entire acceleration and deceleration lane at Standard Group.
Completely gone.
It's finished.
Yeah.
So you measure.
And they removed the kabro.
Wametengeneza barabara.
They put lami.
9 billion.
Haven't you noticed?
It's gone.
And in case you didn't know,
so they finished.
Every time there was a jam, there was some earth-moving equipment.
They've been working on this road.
They finished.
Yeah, but
no,
just
they
so
haven't finished. They are still going on.
But some more money has also been allocated.
Olimma, it's good.
Now the next thing, footbridges, 8 of them,
and then we'll have something else which should be on the road, because this thing of driving all the way to Cabanas to turn around is not good.
Oh, these people here are jokers. You see these people here?
Which ones?
Look, don't even get me started.
Near GM.
This one, when you turn, you enter inside ICD. Because you literally get into ICD when you make that turn. So the design flaw has never been fixed till tomorrow.
What makes you think there's a design flaw?
Yeah, at the...
Where is here?
At GM, where you should be able to turn and now get back onto Mombasa Road after you come out, right? You get into the stage. It's been closed for months.
Let me just refresh your mind, if I may. Before that roundabout thingamajig was created, immediately you pass Standard, there was a pathway you could turn to and go back towards on this same Mombasa Road.
That's what I'm talking about. It's that place
it used to be there.
It's been closed off by these mighty rocks.
No, forget not that one. That was for vehicles turning from coming towards Nairobi to turn to go back towards
There used to be a U-turn before General Motors.
There was a U-turn.
Yes.
And there was a U-turn even here to go back to town. There was a U-turn. Made perfect sense. The U-turn was done away with. Then we got that O-turn.
That one is cute.
Anyway.
There's a hospital in Buruburu. It's called CEFI. CEFI, Medical Dental Clinic. There's even a photo here. What do they offer the services according to this thing that they have posted on their wall? They have diabetes and hypertension clinic, nutrition clinic, management, lab, physiotherapy, x-ray, ultrasound scan, postnatal clinic, antenatal clinic, well baby clinic, immunization, general outpatient consultation. The story that's being told in the Nairobi, and a proper investigative story, is about Jeremy Mutika, who helplessly watched as his sister died, yet she was in what they took to be a normal health facility, but one in which help was not forthcoming. She was struggling to breathe, and for about 30 minutes I walked downstairs 4 to 5 times to call the doctor, and he promised to come, but he did not. Then after a short while, she couldn't breathe anymore. I held her and prayed for her. Regina Musenya, who was 39 years old, was laid to rest on Saturday in Kirui County. But before her painful death, she was in dire need of palliative care. She was rushed to CEFI Nursing Home, which is located near her home. Her samples were taken for a full hemogram test, but she died days later when her blood sample was still cooling in a tiny fridge at the facility. Before her death, Regina and her relatives were given printed results with the hospital's letterhead stating that the test was done and there was no growth. Okay? Test results in hospital letterhead saying there was no growth. Dr. Ouma appended his signature with the hospital's rubber stamp to make the document official. Surprisingly, the results given to the family showed that the test was done for urine, which in actual sense was not requested for. Investigations by the Nairobian found out that after pressure from Regina's relatives to have official results given to them, the hospital owner, come consulting Dr. Nicholas Gor Ouma, cooked results and sent to one of his staff a document via WhatsApp to print at a nearby cyber. It was Regina's results. Mutika was dissatisfied with the conduct of the proprietor of CEFI Nursing Home for admitting a renal patient when he knew he could not handle her and refused to refer her despite their plea until she passed on. My sister's blood sample was taken, but the document given to us shows results for urine. Blood sample taken. Results come and they are urine test results.
I'm sorry. No. No.
It's fine. Basically, this story continues to talk to various other people for 6 years. This man has been moving this hospital various places in 4 locations in Eastlands. It was started in Huruma in 2016 with the name of Casanova Clinic. Then it moved to Kariobangi's Mutarakwa Lane, where it was rebranded to CEFI Medical and Dental Clinic. Moved for the 3rd time to Outer Ring Road into a 3-bedroom house with the same identity. And now it's in Buruburu as CEFI Nursing Home. Nursing homes are classified in category 3B, but CEFI Nursing Home lacks everything to make it to that category. It does not even have one single nurse, let alone an ambulance. They do not accept NHIF as mode of payment. All mobile money payments are sent to Ouma's number. The insider narrates to the Nairobian how, for the longest time possible, samples from patients are taken inside what looks like a deserted lab located on the 1st floor, and then patients are asked to go downstairs and wait for their results to be cooked.
To be what?
The lab has only test tubes, needles, and syringes. All the drawers and cabinets in the room are flung open, and any keen eye will miss seeing even a basic equipment in anything that looks like a lab. Come up there, they draw your blood, you're told go downstairs and wait for the results. It is not a lab. There is not a single nurse.
Jesus Christ.
The person who operates it calls himself doctor.
And you pay him his...
You pay him to his money. Send to me. Send money. Do you take NHIF? No. A patient went there. It was a renal patient. She was in dire pain. She died at this facility. And it's not that it's somewhere stuck you behind.
Yeah,
no,
it's out there with a sign and
with
everything.
A big sign.
Who authorized? Who licensed?
That's the thing.
What makes you think it's licensed?
Good Lord in heaven.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Where are the inspectors?
Yes.
From the board.
And while you're at it, ask yourself, how many other pharmaceutical, this is a hospital, purported. What about pharmaceutical outlets?
I don't even want to think about it.
Yep.
How many of them are actually licensed?
How many are licensed?
And those who work there, how many of them are actually trained to dispense? How many of them are licensed?
It's crazy.
To dispense?
7 a.m. Time for the news.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Nizwa. I'm Dennis Aseto. The government is set to launch electric vehicles and e-border borders in a bid to mitigate the cost of living influenced by rise in fuel prices. Speaking at the Madaraka Day celebrations in Embu County, President William Ruto said they'll be launched in September.
As international petroleum prices continue to rise beyond reach, the cost of fuel locally raises steeply. Transport, as a component of household budget, is affecting the cost of living. We have to liberate Kenyans from the reliance on transport that depends on petroleum. For this reason, we are rolling out an electric vehicle public transport system which will bring down the cost of transport significantly. Our border industry is about to experience inclusive transformation through the introduction of more efficient, affordable, and clean motor vehicles.
Ruto also launched the second product of the Hustler Fund, the Hustler Group Loan, which will disburse funds between 50,000 shillings and 1 billion shillings to chamas and SACCOs.
It is now my honor and pleasure to introduce and officially launch the second product of Hustler Fund, the Hustler Group Loan.
Concerning the proposed housing fund, Ruto said that all the questions regarding the funds will be answered. Now, Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna has urged Governor Johnson Sakaja to listen to the voices of the city residents on the high cost of living as well as the proposed Finance Bill 2023, which among other things looks to introduce taxation on a wide range of issues. Senator Sifuna intimated that it is Governor Sakaja's secondary job to listen to the complaints of Nairobians and then transmit them to the government of the day on whose party ticket he was elected, hence presumably belongs to. Sifuna noted that the economy of the country's capital is downtrodden and that residents are complaining about the high cost of products such as maize flour.
Nairobi maisha imetushinda bwana kama. Maisha imetushinda hapa Nairobi. Mimi siku hizi napigiwa simu hata wale tenants governor. Watu wanahama na mikokoteni usiku kutoroka Malindi. Vijana wetu wengine wanalala kwa video show. Hawana pesa ya kulipa nyumba bwana kama. Bei ya unga imeshinda hao watu. Bei ya unga imeshinda hao watu. Siku hizi wananiita chief agent wa unga ama senator wa ugali. Mimi nimesema hata kama mnataka tufanye mazungumzo vile Tabita amesema tufanye mazungumzo, hatuwezi kuzungumza watu wetu wakiwa na njaa. Tafadhali, mimi ninakuwa ngumu hapa. Tafadhali mimi nasema kwanza tuweze kuwapa wananchi wetu uwezo wa kulisha familia zao. Wakati tumeshiba tuongee mambo mengine. Ama niwezeo vibaya.
He stated that the proposed taxes captured in the finance bill will not alleviate the burden that the ordinary mwananchi is already facing, but rather only serve to increase it.
Ati leo unaleta mswada kwa bunge serikali hii yenu kusema ati mtu wa salon pia yeye anaenda kulipa ushuru. Ile wivi, hii mafuta fake, hii kope fake, ndio ni vitu ya kuweka ushuru juu yake kweli. Ati leo nikipata ajali, alafu insurance inilipe compensation ya ile maumivu nimepata, ati nataka 16%. Inawezekana kweli? Hii mlisema mnatetea watu wa chini. Leo hii ati kama uko na kioski ukiuza unga pakiti 5 peke yake 1,300, mheshimiwa gavana, wanakupiga withholding tax 15%. Yaani mama auze samaki 5 hapa kwa soko, mnataka ushuru. Jamani, sisi watu wa Nairobi tunapiga huo mswada kwa sababu tumechoka na mzigo. Punde imechoka, msikuongezee mzigo zaidi.
This is Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has asked Kenyans to give President William Ruto time to steer the nation. Speaking in Embu, the DP said that the president has a grand plan but will deliver when given time.
Your Excellency, we want to encourage you that millions of Kenyans, desirous of economic prosperity, are fully behind you. We want to encourage you that many Kenyans, though quiet, have confidence that the measures you have come up with will improve the welfare of the Kenyan people. We want to urge all Kenyans to allow our president an opportunity to steer this country back to economic prosperity.
And concerning the proposed Finance Bill 2023, Gachagua asked leaders to support the legislative measures that the government is proposing at the National Assembly.
Your Excellency, we want to urge our leaders to continue being steadfast as they support all the legislative measures that your government has proposed in the National Assembly to allow this country to get away from public debt and fund our own development and recurrent expenditure.
This is Newsweb Dennis Oseda. Good morning.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
Okay, it's a few minutes after 7 o'clock and we have a little bit of it here and there. Building on Jogo Road, going towards the CBD, and we're looking at it coming off from Gong Road, likely to get a little bit heavier as you get to that city mortuary roundabout. That is going to happen. On the Thika Superhighway, hot and heavy coming in through from Survey towards the Pangani Underpass, and some of it on Kiambu Road as well. Continue to build up. James Gishiro, what's the name of that road?
Which one?
I've forgotten it. Anyway, I'll tell you in a minute because it's right here.
So read it.
Lloyd Tok.
What does?
Okay, there's traffic.
It starts with?
Lloyd Tok.
See?
So there's traffic there this morning as well. Uhuru Highway not looking too bad as you get towards the CBD coming off of Mombasa Road. So let's keep an eye on things. Slim picking still at 7 o'clock. We'll check back at around 7:30 and see Spice FM KE on Twitter. Let's keep things moving this morning.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
After 7, how are you doing? Welcome to the second hour of The Situation Room on the second day of June 2023. Happy the day after Madaraka. This Madaraka should have been today, so that people take a proper long weekend.
What makes you think they won't?
Oh my goodness. There are people who do that.
Yep.
I mean, who do that?
Kenyans.
Surely. Go back to work. So you're supposed to be
They'll go back to work on Monday.
Oh, they'll go back to work on Monday. It's still too soon.
That's a bit
early. Okay. Let me tell you, tomorrow is Saturday. Tomorrow is the third day of June. And then tomorrow what happens?
The annual Matter Hat Run takes place tomorrow across the city. And you know what it is. It's remembering that there are many children around the country who have heart problems, heart diseases, congenital ones. And the majority of them come from homes or families whereby they just cannot afford the expensive treatments. So the Matter Hospital many, many years ago decided, look, how about we do and come up with a pool of resources to be able to do that in the name of a heart run. And that's how the Matter Heart Run was born. Happens every year. and hundreds of thousands of children have been treated, have had the surgeries that they needed to survive. And this year, 120 million shillings is being sought after to provide the very necessary treatments for these children around Kenya.
The Standard today has the route maps for all the places that the Matahatran will be taking place tomorrow. Nairobi, Kericho, Kakamega, Kisumu, Machakos, Eldoret, Mombasa, Nakuru, Nyeri, and Bomet. Nairobi, it starts and finishes at the Ulinzi Sports Complex and Langata Road. That new swanky one by the military. That one. That's where it starts. And then, so you'll begin there, you run down towards Nyayo Stadium. But then you get to T-Mall, you continue. When you get to the Makadara roundabout, you take the roundabout and then you head back up all the way back to Ulinzi Sports Complex. That's the route tomorrow morning. An entire stretch of, Langata Road between the Ulinzi Sports Complex and the Nairobi West Makadara roundabout as the route. So make sure come out tomorrow and support everybody who is supporting this worthy cause. If you're in Kericho, you're in Kakamega, you're in Eldoret, Machakos, Kisumu, Mombasa, Nakuru, Nyeri, and Bomet, come out and run. It's for a good cause. City?
Yes, please.
The day's proverb.
Yes, this is our final proverb from the country of Madagascar. Sadness is a valuable treasure only discovered in people you love.
Sadness is a valuable treasure only discovered in people you love.
Yes.
I'm still not getting it. This one? Sadness is a valuable treasure only discovered in people you love.
You will not see or understand the seesawing mood reality that people exhibit unless you have some concern. I mean, if someone just happens to be someone you work with, unless you are a keen observer, you will not notice happiness, maybe not, sadness, even less so. So when you're concerned about people, you tend to be more tuned into what it is that they're going through. Yes.
So somebody you're not close to is very unlikely to tell you if they're sad.
Yes. It's
Or share their sadness or cause of it with you.
It's like when you ask someone out there and they tell you you're fine. We accept it at face value. Very rarely do you say, actually, you do not look fine.
Or very rarely do you say, well, I'm not fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very rarely.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, Embu was busy yesterday.
Embu was a buzz yesterday, the 60th Madaraka Day celebrations, and many things were done. There was pomp and circumstance. People travelled, governors were a mighty show of, allegiance, etc., etc. The chair of the African Union, Mohamed Faki, was there. He gave his speech, talked about, the hope for Kenya and Africa. There was many things that were said. Other things that were said as well were promises. There were more promises that were made by the president when he took to the podium yesterday. One thing that he started out with was urging the country to back his reform plan. And now we've seen all of this being called a reform plan. Before it was, whatever else it was. But yesterday we heard the words reform come out very many times. Essentially, reform means that you want to fix things that have gone awry. You want to fix things that have gone wrong, or essentially plummeting down the rabbit hole. And so he's saying the future can only be safeguarded through the measures that are being put in place today. So he's come out with a different stance in terms of his approach and said, look, what I'm trying to do is make sure that there's a Kenya to live in tomorrow, that there's a Kenya to live in the future. So these things that look a little bumpy today, the things that maybe are going to press you on each side a little bit here and there, it's only to guarantee a future. So just work with me on this, Kenyans. And that was his plea yesterday as he made the speech. And these now took the shape of promises that he then made. But let me look at the highlights. He talked about affordable housing, the thing that has been, a buzz over the last few weeks. He said this program is to enable the true hustler, the mamamboga, to access and afford a mortgage. Okay? Let us embark on this journey towards home ownership together. He was very clear about that. He then went on to say that he wants to prioritize processing and value addition of agricultural products, because he also realizes and understands that one of the drivers of this economy will be agriculture. So we must do everything that we can to put in to have the necessary inputs for the desired outcome. It's being achieved through the establishment of county industrial parks, and we saw the names of those, which I'll tell you in a bit. Government has stepped up the establishment of 5 additional export zones in the next financial year that didn't exist before in Sagana, Thika, Njoro, Eldoret, and Busia. So you can see there's, widespread. And it's countrywide, widespread activity when it comes to these zones, not just in one place. This is one that was interesting for a lot of people. City liked it very much. Borders will be able to ride electric motorcycles by September, June, July, August, in 3 months' time. What they will be able to do, this is because the cost of petroleum on the global scale is rising by the day. We've also had to increase fuel from 8% in terms of VAT to 16%, which is also now in the finance bill. And because of that, we're going to see that fuel will be deathly expensive. Now, borders riders who make up a majority of the hustlers will then have some reprieve, because in September there will be electric motorcycles. So what you need to do, plug and play. You don't have to buy fuel again. So just be ready for that one. The government is committed to delivering universal health coverage that enables every Kenyan attain dignified health care at a minimal cost. So you can walk into hospital, you can get the treatment that you need, get diagnoses, get on treatment, whether it is instant or it is over time, at a cost. And this cost is prepaid, right? When you pay every month towards NHIF, which is the driver of UHC, then when in the unfortunate event that you are unwell, you can go to hospital. If you need to be admitted, you will be able to do so and not break the bank. The president said he's keen on this. And finally, the National Open University will obtain its charter this month of June, and its courses are being currently uploaded for commissioning. Those are the highlights of what he said yesterday. But he made it clear from the onset, I'm doing this for
all of us.
For all of us. That a Kenya that prospers tomorrow has to slightly be suffered for today. It's going to hurt a little bit. There'll be a bit of a pinch, but it's the guarantee of future. And that future, as we see from some of these things, can be in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, in a year's time, but it will be. Okay? Now, he said the indignity of slum life is something that drives him up the wall. He doesn't like it. And those are some of the issues that they're trying to address with this housing levy. So will you not see it from a point of dignity? Will you not see it from a point of wanting to make life better for those who seek to have their names written down in the book of home ownership? Will you not see it as job creation for people who work in a sector in back-breaking work? So that was his appeal. Look at it from those 3 places. We're dignifying people. We're allowing others to own homes. And finally, we're giving jobs to those people who work in the informal sector in this back-breaking, sun-scorching job. So those are the things that we want to do, and those are the things that we want you to understand. And that was really what his speech was around yesterday. So it was imploring Kenyans to understand. One thing he did say, which he took a bit of a harder stance toward, don't think these taxes are going to come down. They will not. Where do you expect us to get the money from? If we do not tax, we don't get the money. We cannot guarantee a better livelihood for Kenyans. And there ends my speech on the president's speech yesterday.
Right there is the problem. Right there.
Where?
You will pay these taxes whether you like it or not. Right there is the problem. Everything the president says is true. Everything. With regards to taxes, with regards to housing, with regards to the social determinants of housing and what it does to your social status, what it does to your mental health, what it does to your dignity, what it does, all those things are absolutely true. The problem, however, are not those truths. The problem is a simple matter that this president has inherited. It is called the trust that people have in their government. The Uhuru government went on a rampage of borrowing and borrowed and borrowed and borrowed and borrowed and borrowed.
Yeah.
10 years down the line, those debts have now come due.
Yeah.
Okay? The burden falls on this current president. So now, whatever reasons may be given, we are not dealing with an absence of understanding from the citizens as to the benefits of what is being said. We are dealing with a situation where the people do not believe what their government tells them. They do not believe that what they're being told is what happened. In short, they just do not trust the government. Now, when I say right there is a problem. If you have a problem of trust or mistrust or distrust, however you want to phrase it, and you present a fait accompli, you present a situation where there's no wiggling room, you are then saying that, yes, I may understand what it is I believe you are trying to tell me, but I'm going to continue telling you to do what I want you to do. And yet, that guarantees that there'll be pushback even on something that may be good. This housing issue is a really good thing. Housing.
It's a brilliant idea.
It is a really, 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 really good thing. The idea of people being able to save money, the idea of Kenyans learning the benefits of saving so that we have a saving culture is a truly marvelous thing. Countries that lend us money because their citizens understand it. They lend us their citizens' money. That's how they're able to lend us, because those people save money. These are good things. But against this backdrop of what I have said, where you are functioning, you want to achieve things, but the people for whom you say you want to achieve these things do not trust, you have a problem. And that has to be addressed. Because if it isn't addressed, then everything that you say, good as it is, will fall on deaf ears.
How should the government address this? Because, yes, there's clearly something needs to happen between the government and the people, so that the people can start trusting the government more, right? So then if they trust the government, so when the government says, let's do this and the other, people can see, this is the idea, this is the plan, and they can ask one or two questions. And even in the areas where you don't understand what has been said, you at least give them the benefit of the doubt, because, I just don't get it, but maybe I'll get it down the road. The problem where we have today is people, if I don't get it, I just don't trust that you even have the best intentions at all with whatever idea you're coming up with. What should the government do?
Eric, it is you actually gave me this idea. We've discussed what we're saying now, what we're discussing now, in various forms and shapes and sizes over time, over years, in fact. And you kept saying, we need to have a Boma-like conversation as a country, where people feel it's not these few elected leaders who are talking, but the whole country, meaning people have gone around, views have been collected. It may seem tedious. Town hall meetings have been had, not once, not twice. The diversity of issues that Kenyans feel are a problem have been brought up, and people have come. We are not here for a day. We are here today. We are going to be here tomorrow. We are here for the whole week, so people can keep coming. And people feel, time has been taken for them to actually understand what we feel or what we think, and it's documented. And the discussion is then taken to the next level. Now, when you said it, I heard it, but I didn't internalize it. You see, that captures the spirit of public participation, so that people feel this sovereignty that the Constitution bequeaths, the Constitution gives them, is actually being taken seriously. You're being told, we have a situation on our hands. These are the things we'd like us to talk about. Okay? Now, this is how we're going to go about it, so that, and we'll give it this period of time, so that you say what you like, so that we know exactly as we gather, we will even hear of suggestions as to what we ought to do. Not every individual or groupings of individuals can get together and create a memorandum which they will give. The memorandums are very good. They are documents. People feel better when they feel they have had an opportunity to actually speak about something, and in speaking have been heard. The import of that is weightier. Now, I'm saying you pointed me in that direction because when I look at the issue of trust, there is no magic bullet to it, because the mistrust doesn't come overnight. It is broken promises over a period of time, to the point where people feel these people never keep their promises. They said computers were, and yet some people didn't get computers. They said they were going to do this, and yet some of it may happen, but the circumstance, whatever reason you want to give, when people get to the point where they actually don't want to hear what you're saying, but they're polite enough that they listen, but they're going to believe you anyway. Meaning,
they don't believe you at all.
Even before you say that, but they will listen, but they don't believe you.
It's like entertainment.
Yes.
It's like, okay, so, all right, so let's hear what is going to
Let's hear what they're going to say today.
I told you something was good. What did he say today? Boda Boda. I said,
what did I tell you?
Something was going to come.
He was going to come up with something new.
What did I tell you?
Because that was the collective reaction of the country yesterday. It was, we've heard you about housing before. Tell us, you've told us about Hustler. We've heard that before. Continue. Universal healthcare. We've heard that.
Open university. Is that a new one or a new one? No, it's okay. So it's university.
Then he said, electric boda boda. I was like, that's the one
Thank
for
you
today.
very much. Yes.
That's the one for today. No, we have a new one. It's electric boda boda.
And you say, and then it is premised on the understanding that it will cost you less. Somebody asks, so the price of electricity is going to go down.
I just clicked. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, okay. Price of fuel, we've understood that already, but electricity. So we move from petrol to electricity, and then the price of electricity, what was it again? So, and the problem is that this is something that the entire Kenyan nation is getting to a point where if you just listen to the way we have discourse, people are no longer even annoyed.
No. But think about it. Was humor not an escape route from a lot of the issues?
Yes, it is. Yes,
and
it is.
It has always been, and it continues to be that, okay, we get to the point where you just start to laugh about it because
even music.
You've cried, you've been angry, you've lamented, you've begged, you've told, you've done everything.
Said okay.
Until now, it actually genuinely becomes funny when you start to hear things like this.
Yeah.
Because truth of the matter is, September will come. Isn't it?
Yes.
September will
electric boda bodas are actually
they're already there already.
There are already many
but in
electric
terms of
boda bodas.
In terms of
electric mobility is something that the government started. Even the previous administration, they started. Remember, even Kenya Power has had conversations on what is it that we need to do to go into electric mobility. We've talked about Namata saying, in fact, let's look at electric mobility. We have those Basigo and the others on the roads. We have electric buses on the road, electric boda bodas on the road. When the president is saying this, it's actually not something strange.
No, it isn't, because they exist.
That is the problem,
it's not
Eric.
strange. Is it a possibility that we can have more boda bodas on the road by September? Absolutely.
Of course we can.
It is a possibility.
Eric,
but people are just sitting back and they're like,
But Eric, there lies the problem, because you know what it does to you? It's like the proverbial frog who is in the water and it's being warmed up and it doesn't know when the temperature has become so hot that it actually kills it. Because you know, in your mind, you can imagine, okay, I can actually see it. This can actually happen. But what lies behind a promise, and this is the thing, what lies behind a promise is the intent to actually do it. Not you can say anything as much as you want, but do you have an actual intent to do it, or are you trying to placate people because of all this other drama? And you say, actually, well, this one is hard, but they're going to provide electric motorcycles, and so life will be better for the
Do you
hustler.
know, for the last 5 years...
What is the intent behind the promise? And that's why, for me, don't say anything. Let it just be hard. Don't say anything.
You know how you lose trust is when people do not witness, they do not experience the fruition of what you said you were going
Exactly.
to do. Okay? Now, so when it is lost, how then do you regain it? People start seeing things you've said you will do being done. You see, the other day when we had the principal secretary in the State Department of Housing, and I asked him this question about national housing. It was a deliberate question because of this. And he was in his element. He answered it beautifully. You see, this affordable housing was a program the government had. The agent through which the government actualized it was national housing. And the government built very many houses. It's a simple truth. Very many. Then World Bank came in, Bretton Woods institutions came in and said what they said, and that process was reversed. But let's just talk about the success by looking at the estates that we've had that were built and that people live in it. It is true. So can it be done? Yes, it can be done. Has it been done before? Yes, it has been done before. So we are not talking about a concept that is alien. But now, this particular concept that we are now talking of, you asked me the question. When you feel you need to demonstrate something and make it a reality, I would suggest this. These housings that we're talking about, can you please build houses for the police? Police, GSU, administration police, build houses. These are government employees. They have salaries, build for them so that there is no AP, no member of the police service who can say, no GSU can say they don't have a house. Start there. We will see the houses. Why do I pick on them? Because regular police, not GSU who are in camps, not APs, regular police have some of the worst, deplorable housing conditions that any human being can wish for.
Even the APs and the GSUs in those camps, in fact.
Those metal things that they live in, and
those are the worst.
Now, these are people who you entrust with the security of the country, and you deprive them of dignity through the housing process. You settle that first. You are talking about trust. It will be clear. We will see. Excuse the example. See, they did. Yes,
we can start seeing. And I think the thing about what the president he clearly is talking about things that he knows are happening, bit by bit across various government departments. Housing, yes, there's some housing going on. When you talk about like now that on the electric mobility, it's actually happening. When you talk about universal housing, there's whatever they're doing at NHIF, we don't know, but whatever they're doing at NHIF. The problem is that we are so used to hearing a promise. Every new day is a new promise. And then when you ask a question, you defer the promise by introducing a new promise.
One.
Oh, the promise was LPG was going to get cheaper. So when is LPG getting cheaper? Actually, we'll start with the cylinder.
It was supposed to be June, this month, this June.
Yes, and it'll be cylinder. You see now, the gas itself. That's why we're putting in the measures in the finance bill so that the taxes, we remove all these taxes, then the gas will actually get cheaper. But on top of that, you add something else. And people now have gotten to a point where these are stories.
Yes.
This guy is a storyteller, so we'll always be sitting there and just listening to Hello Children. I'm hiding there, laughing hyena.
With
Auntie Elizabeth Omolo. Listen to today's story, and you're like, we go home. There's a problem.
There's a big problem.
And we need to address it.
And guess what? With every, and just like you're saying, with every promise, the believability factor drops a record number of points. Because you come and say another one tomorrow, just like you're saying, nobody will actually believe what it is that you say. And the problem with that is that when it comes to a position that you put yourself in, that you want to actually deliver, nobody is going to believe you. We can have a list of the things that were promised. We can have a list right now of the things that were told in 6 months' time, in 3 months' time, in 9 months' time, these things would have been done. And you can also tick off how many were actually done. Even in terms of progress. When people were suffering, before it started raining and the drought was in the country, what were we told? 100 dams will be built over I don't know how long. Where is the first one that has been done? Where is it? Where is the first dam that, okay, forget about done because it's not possible.
It'll take a while to
It will take a while. Forget about done. Where is the first one where there's even a plan to say it is here, this is what is actually happening, these are the boots on the ground, and this is what they're actually doing? Where is it?
Can I contribute to what you're saying,
Because,
if I may?
Please, you can. Because
Yes.
Yeah.
Consider, for instance, something which is a thorn in our flesh and a contentious issue, and a terribly contentious one. CBC teachers.
Yeah.
We have trained teachers in the country. They exist. Okay? We don't have to look for them elsewhere. We're actually exporting them. Why don't you just ensure that there are enough teachers? Because you can do it. The teachers they are here. As we're looking for money to pay these pending bills, which is a colossal amount of money, is it also possible to also look for money for pending teachers? Because these teachers have not, yes, the schools do not have adequate teachers. I mean, they are low-hanging fruit.
There are things that can be done that ought to be done.
Yes.
On teachers, remember he says this is the first time that 35,000 teachers are being hired at a go.
You know, Eric,
in the 60 years of independence. And in the next financial year, another 35,000 are going to be hired at a go. 70,000 teachers by the end of June next year. Let's take a break. 25 minutes to 8. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. This is a Situation Room. We want to hear from you as well. 0719-012-600.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It is time for you to take your farming business to the next level, no matter how big or small your farming venture is. Agritech Africa and GrainTech Africa are inviting you to come and learn the latest technologies in agriculture, dairy, livestock, poultry, and grain farming. Over 150 exhibitors from all over the world will be at the KICC Nairobi from June 15th to 17th to show you how agriculture is being done globally. Entry is free. You cannot afford to miss this.
It's 15 and cloudy in Nairobi, highs of 23, and we'll see highs of 26 in a sunny Nakuru at 14. It's cloudy at 16 in Nyeri, highs of 23, and highs of 25 will be seen in a sunny Eldoret at 12. It's mostly cloudy at 24 in Mombasa and sunny at 25 in Malindi. Sunny conditions at 20 in Kisumu and 17 and sunny in Kakamega. It's cloudy at 20 in Kampala. We'll go to highs of 28 and Dar es Salaam will see highs of 28 and it's partly sunny at 24. 6 degrees and clear in Johannesburg. Highs of 20 and highs of 30 in a now rainy Lagos at 26. It's partly cloudy at 24. In Kinshasa, it will go to highs of 31 and lows of 23.
I know the sun is out in Nairobi at least. As you tembea, be careful. Manchester United are trying to sign anyone. Watch out where your children are. Please hide yourselves.
Sugar and spice.
I reached a point where suicide things were just going south completely. Something stopped me.
FM, Nairobi.
All right, moderate traffic in most parts of the city this morning. We're looking at it not too heavy coming off of Thika Superhighway. Not likely to see too much of it today. Outbound traffic is seeming to be a thing on the Thika Superhighway going out towards Thika Town and then past Westlands as well, heading out in the Limuru direction. It is the weekend after all. Not much coming in from Thaiga Square through towards Pangani, and it's looking a little bit better coming off Jogo Road. Landis is still pretty busy as you get to that Kamkunji roundabout, likely to continue like that for some time. Gong Road, a busy beehive activity, at least around the junctions, but it's all right coming off Langata Road and then through towards Raila Odinga Way. North Airport Road, busy getting out towards Outer Ring. That's going to be busy for a while as you head towards the Eastern Bypass. So we're keeping an eye on things this Friday morning. Nothing out of whack just yet. Hopefully we can keep it just so. Talk to us on Spice FM, KE on Twitter.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings
done right.
22 minutes to 8. The conversation continues in the Situation Room on Spice FM, on KTN Home, and online on Facebook and on YouTube, where we live stream the show every weekday morning. Yesterday, the President addressed the nation from Embu during commemorations to mark Kenya's 60th independence. And the conversation that we're having this morning is with regards to trust. Very many things that the President said yesterday, just talking about what his government is doing, as his administration is doing, the focus areas. Talked about several of them: housing, universal health coverage. He talked about what they're doing in terms of mobility, what they're doing for education, what they're doing about agriculture, and the establishment of the county industrial parks being set aside in a budget for the county industrial parks to be established across the country in collaboration with the county governments. Also looking at additional export processing zones in Sagana, in Thika, in Joro, in Eldoret, and in Busia. New EPZs to be set up in those areas, and the multiply effect of those. And people sitting back and just listening to the President and just hearing things that are being said. And the question is, how many people actually listen to these promises now by the President, by the Deputy, by the other cabinet ministers, and take them to heart and see, yes, there's actually things that we are going to do. They are saying things, are people believing them? There's something called stories ajaba in this country, right? People who just sit down and chew mira. Right? Okay. People who sit down and chew mira. After at certain level, when the mira has now done the thing that it's supposed to do, whether it's mira or muguka, the brain becomes very creative. So you find out that this creativity now, the guy starts telling you a story. A guy called Mutai, for example, sitting somewhere in Chogoria, sitting down with his at the Mogoka base. Unajua jana niliongea na Ruto. Ruto mgani? Ruto president. Tunaongea naye jana. Alinipigia. Unajua mtu anapigianga tu watu hivyo fua. Alinipigia jana. Kuongea nini? Alinipigia tu. Nani yeye anakuongelesha? Huyu ni William. Wewe unaongea na nani? Si unaongea na Mutai. Mutai yuko wapi? Si niko hapa Shokoria. Huyu ni Ruto president. Tuliongea na Ruto na nilimwambia kikunja mimi ndio nitaongelesha watu kwa stadium. Ngoja uone. Stories ajaba. You listen to a guy's story and you're like, the way you have woven that tale, my friend, you are so creative.
It's beautiful.
This is beautiful. And you're actually coming up with it as we go. That's what people are thinking now about our president. And every time our president is talking. And it's unfortunate.
But it's true.
That the leader of a people actually talks to them, and guys are just sitting back and like, now this is
next, which is the next one.
Bring tea, bring popcorn. Let's listen.
And they live in a club.
Yes.
They told you people that in 6 months' time, Kenya will have produced its first phone. That is June.
We have electricity. LPG is going down. What else are we doing?
Dams, 100.
Yeah. Galana Kulalu, now we are forgetting. In 3 months' time, we'll have a PPP framework, and this PPP framework will help us.
So that we understand it better, we'll first start farming in Malawi and Zambia. Then after that, we'll continue our farming here.
Yeah.
Saying, okay, we'll
just listening at this sound like they sound like stories, and people have just said, okay, this guy is our entertainer. We pay him to entertain us. And then he's taxing us for it. We, like City, you said, the government ought to take this thing seriously and ought to realize that something needs to happen. Something different needs to happen.
Okay, sorry.
And we need to address these things of understanding how you get people to start trusting the government again. This is not a problem that was started by William Ruto.
No.
He's perpetuating and exacerbating it. It was there even in the previous administration.
Right.
And every time we kept saying, Mr. President, how about even when you're addressing us today, don't give us anything new in form of a promise.
Please.
Just tell us the truth. Today, just do one thing. Just say the truth. The rest is okay. We shall deal with it. Let's hear from Anthony, who's calling from Mombasa. Good morning, Anthony.
Morning. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
from what I hear, ni kama watu wanatamani enzi za Moi.
Wametamani nini?
Enzi za Moi.
Enzi za Moi.
Remember how Moi used to give side roads, yani sheria kwa barabara tu na inakuwa implemented. The thing is this, saizi, with whatever promise you make, I will reduce tax, I will do this, I will do that. From the new constitution, you have some things you have to have acts of parliament, honestly. You cannot just wake up and say this will happen and that will happen. So, right now, hii financial bill hii inakuja hii hapa imeleta moto mingi sana. So many things have been lumped inside there.
Yep.
Sheria mingi sana zimewekwa. Mambo ya LPG imewekwa hapo ndani. Mambo ya pikipiki electrical, not electrical pikipiki alone, but electrical vehicles imewekwa hapo ndani.
Yep.
So, hata privatization kulikuja hulabalu, then it disappeared.
Yep.
Kumbe imesundwa hapo ndani. So many things that the president will say, he cannot enact them if he does not take them to parliament first. Unfortunately, mimi naweza sema ameisema mapema. Angengoja kwanza hiyo bill ipite. Then he tells us that by the way, hiyo bill vile imepita, LPG itapungua because of 1, 2, 3, electrical vehicles 1, 2, 3, hizo mambo za dams kujenga. You cannot just wake up and build a dam out of nowhere.
Yep.
Yes. Alafu pia nimependa vile Sitia amesema low lying fruit, sio?
Low hanging.
Mambo ya nyumba ya askari, mambo ya walimu. Hiyo pesa inatoka. We get taxed more. Unaona? Tuko na deni ajabu. We need to pay it back. But still, we need also to be given new services or most of our problems to be taken away. So, either tukubali tutaksiwe sana, ama wacha tulipe deni na tutulie tu. No maendeleo, no nothing. Tulipe deni kwanza. Serikali isimame. Tulipe deni na the normal services, malipo salaries, na tuangalie kama tupunguze corruption. But if we want tulipe deni na bado maendeleo iendelee, kuna mahali tutaumia na ni sisi tu. Yes. So saizi hata hii bill sababu inapigwa vita is because there are so many laws inside it that will affect so many sectors at a go.
Yep.
So ukiona watu wakizusha is because sector yao imeumia. So they decide, why don't we just campaign hii bill tuiangushe in total.
Let me ask you a direct question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have trust in government? On a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the highest and 0 being very low trust.
Yes, sir.
How would you rate your trust in the government?
I do not trust anything the government will say if there's no any supporting law. Okay. Because how do you hold that person accountable?
Okay.
Because sasa mtu amekwambia nitakufanyia kitu fulani na hakuna sheria. Honestly. Hiyo si nipanganga tu.
Sawa.
Hiyo ndio story za jaba.
Sawa. Thank you, Anthony.
But once the law is there, then now we can hold them accountable.
Thank you. Victor in Nakuru, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Very well.
What about you in the studio?
We are very well, thank you. Tell me, Victor, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being the lowest, 10 being the highest in terms of trust in government, how much do you trust the government?
Why, can I even attempt to trust a limited company? No, I don't.
Why?
I can't even attempt to trust a limited company. There's a company which is being run. It's a show of two people. No, I don't even trust those people. I don't at all.
Why? I lost him. Charles, good morning.
Good morning to Eric, City, Muga. You guys are doing a great job.
Asante.
And I like the idea of Muga, for the president first to facilitate the police force with the houses. It makes a lot of sense. That would be a good example. Yeah, on a scale of what? No. Yes, I feel we are judging the government a little bit early. We need to give more time. However, I have a lot of concern. The president is yet to convince us that he is in control, that there will be no leakage, there will be no monies lost. 3% levy is asking about. We already know a lot of monies that have been stolen in this government. What measures is he putting first that we have that money back? If you are convincing the headmaster you have a debt in school, and then want to convince or rather put a bargain with the school teacher for your arrears, you need to show good intention of clearing the previous balance, and then that they can judge you on the basis of that. Now, when the president just wakes up and tells us, trust me, yes, we will trust you, but we already know that our money has been stolen. What efforts are you doing to bring that money back as we plow by, as we contribute towards the levy kitty? That's my feeling.
Thank you, Charles. Veronica and Eldoret, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Whom am I speaking to?
This is Spice FM. Did you call us?
Yes, I did.
All right. We're talking about trust in government.
Yes, and I'm seeing there's a rating that has been given there. And my rating is -1.
Why?
My hopes are dashed completely. Completely. I really don't see where we are going with this government.
Veronica, your TV is on and it's confusing you. I think that's where our problem is. Let's hear from Robert. Robert, good morning.
Good morning, too.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How is City and Muga?
Both of them in one are fine.
Well, the combo is fine.
I was in Uganda. Those guys really love you.
Asante sana.
Yes, these things of trust. The moment you've been lied to more than 3 times, it becomes a norm that everything that you are being told is most likely bound to be another bigger lie. And my father once told me that if you tell a lie the day before yesterday, yesterday itself you would need a bigger lie to cover what you said the day before yesterday. By today, you would have to create a bigger lie to cover up for the last 2 days.
Yeah.
So by tomorrow, you would be telling a lie that is so open to everybody to recognize that this guy is just lying to us. So I think this government has gone into that trajectory where it's been telling a small lie, creating a bigger lie to cover up the small lie, to a point whereby when it talks about anything right now, it just looks like a lie.
Becomes like a pyramid scheme now, multi-level marketing.
Not even a pyramid. Umesikia sasa the word lies, imekuwa tukufu lies, with that accent.
Tukufu lies.
In a scale of 1 to 10, you definitely know mine.
No, we don't.
Tell us.
It's tending towards 0.
Robert. So, have a good day, Nandi.
You too, guys.
Tindi in Eldoret, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Very fine, thank you.
Hi, how do you trust a government that doesn't trust itself?
How do you know it doesn't trust itself?
It doesn't trust itself. You see, the deputy president comes out and says the former president connected to Mungiki. Then the CS in charge of internal security says he doesn't know. So the government's just confused. I think we made a mistake by voting this government. How do you say a motorbike, an electric motorbike will be here in 3 months, yet when you check the price of a motorbike in India is 280,000 shillings, Kenya shillings, before you import it? How will an ordinary border get that bike in 3 months?
This is an electric one.
An electric one is 280,000 Kenya before you import it from India, a boxer one. Now, as a president stands up and says that it will appear in 3 months, surely, is that fair? The president is lying too much. And I think that is the trend. It's just lying too much. Why did he wait until we see the motorbike instead of telling us, like just what Cindy is saying? Do it. Let's see the plan. But now we have no plan. Which plan is there to import an electric motorbike? Where are the charging stations that you have put across the country? So that when you roll out the electric motorbike, we have a charging station. We have none.
Thank you, Tindi. We hear you. Let's hear from Alex. Alex in Kitengela, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, to arrive where we are, we have to understand what Kenyans are and who we are. I've had the privilege of interacting with other people from different parts of the country, the world, I mean. And you can see Kenyans are very opinionated. Like, they'll always have an opinion about everything. That's why we like politics. We think we know what's the right thing we have to do. And then another part of us is we are very dishonest. We are very dishonest. We are politicians and we are very dishonest. All of us. It's not that the government or anything. And if you're saying also that we trust the government, you know, there are like three arms of the government, right? It's not only like the executive, there are other arms of the government, and there are other people who, like even the PS who came to the studio to discuss about the housing plan.
Yeah.
He made us realize, or maybe me realize, that despite the politicians making all those noises on top of vehicles, there are some people who are actually doing the work. And the weakest link we have is the politician. So the politician will keep on like, they are just like salesmen, you know, they'll always sell you anything, they'll oversell actually. But behind that, there are some guys who are really putting in the work, you know. But despite that work being done, there are Kenyans who are dishonest, who are even judging the government now, saying they don't trust the government. Whenever they are put in that position, they will do something funny. They'll try stealing, or they'll just do something funny, you know.
Thank you,
so
Alex.
we should not be harsh with the government.
Thank you, Alex. PK in Limuru.
Thank you very much, Latifa.
Good morning.
Morning too. You know, this government has become like the short stories book we used to read in high school, where we used to have, you know, a certain book with a certain name, then end with other short stories. And this government has been the same. Each and every day they are just, you know, making empty promises. And, you know, yesterday I was so, you know, much annoyed because I was listening to try and see whether, you know, the promises that were made initially we are going to have any progress on the same. But it's just heaping on other short stories about promises which are not going to be fulfilled. I think this government has lost it. And rating it between 1 and 10, I give them a solid -2 because I don't really have trust in this government. I don't know whether they are going to be able to deliver.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you, PK. Mark in Umoja, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning to you. Switch off your radio, please.
Yeah, natoka Umo. Bwana, huyu jamaa alikuwa kwa ile serikali imepita. Promises ngapi ya jamaa alituambia?
Kadhaa
bwana. So mimi si fala nifate vitu ananiambia. Sasa hii mimi kwenye nafanya job. Taxes zimekaa mingi mpaka Wahindi sasa hii tunaambiwa atukai contract, tunataka tutolewe kuandikwa tuweze kwa contract. Because hizi taxes zimekuwa mob. Wazito wa industrial hawezi stahimili. So unapata kila kampuni, nyinyi labda hamwezi jua, kila kampuni saa hii inang'ang'ana kuweka watu kwa contract ndio vitu zingine wasiinikae cost zingine.
Right.
So sisi huyu jamaa hezi tudanganya kabisa, ako done kabisa, huyo ni mkora.
Mark, thank you. Thank you for calling 0719012600. We always appreciate having conversations with you. So the message basically here is, you know, for many of the people that have talked about the level of trust that they have whenever they hear the government saying something or the other, and they're like, like CTU said, this is a message to government. You ought to think of what is it that has gotten people to where they are, to a level where they hear you, they just hear a promise, they don't feel like you are walking the talk with them, including how you're spending money, including how when you say that you're going to roll out a budget and you want us to finance that budget, do we trust that the things that we are putting in that budget are actually going to do what has been put in the budget? Or do we think that it's going to be misappropriated and misused? It's a big thing. It's a big issue. Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room on Spice FM, on KTN Home, and online on YouTube and Facebook. In the next hour, we give a right of reply to the county government of Siaya after the deputy governor was here and he spoke about the issues that he says he has raised even with the EACC about corruption that's going on in the county of Siaya. The CEC for Finance joins us in the next hour to talk about this. Are you prepared to run tomorrow? And no matter how to run, you should be. Ndu will be telling you the routes shortly. A very good morning to you. It's now coming up to 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
On Vibes Radio. The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asseto. National Assembly Minority Leader P.O. has criticized the Madaraka Day speech delivered by President William Ruto. And says he watched the president with disappointment and sadness, accusing the head of state of remaining deaf on the plights of the people of the country on matters of the high cost of living. Ruto, however, said that the high cost of living being experienced in the country is keeping all leaders awake, including himself. He said that he was satisfied with the debate being generated by the finance bill. And Kakamega Deputy Governor Ayub Savula has warned Kenyans not to expect MPs to reject the Finance Bill 2023. Speaking in Bohongo Stadium, Kakamega, Savula said MPs have in the past often skipped crucial House sittings of such nature. The former MP said lack of quorum during the voting day of the finance bill will see it pass. MPs are expected to debate the bill amid rising criticism from unionists, political leaders, the clergy and the public. The DG called on President William Ruto to recall the controversial bill, saying it does not address the high cost of living, which he said is the main concern by citizens. Savula termed the proposed housing levy as untimely. And Kericho Governor Eric Mutai and his deputy friend Kirui faced off publicly in Kericho. A seemingly enraged Governor Mutai lectured his deputy over what he termed as preaching petty politics after the latter, in his address, complained over disrespect and lack of adequate resources to enable him traverse the county. A bit exchange erupted after DG Kirui faulted the county leadership for not facilitating him with adequate fuel, revealing that he had to dig into his pocket to fuel his vehicle. The DG further cited a pre-election agreement between the duo that led to him stepping down in favor of Mutai, as he urged the governor to accord him respect.
Mambo yote ambayo nimewambia, kwenda kule Itare nilienda na mafuta yangu, kwenda sehemu gani naenda tu mimi mwenyewe, na nataka nifanyie kazi wananchi. Hii ni serikali ambayo inaitwa coalition government, na coalition government lazima kuwa na ile kitu inaitwa respect. I respect the governor. Governor, please also respect me. Na maneno mingi itaisha. Sitaki mambo mengi. Respect is what we need from each other.
In a rejoinder, however, the county boss scoffed at his deputy's remarks, opining that he should have not brought such issues publicly. Mutai laughed off Kirui's claims of not being provided with fuel, saying that the latter had 2 vehicles compared to him who owned only 1. Consequently, he suggested that the county would consider buying another car for the deputy and increase his fuel allowance.
You have 2 vehicles, yours and an escort car. Maybe I only have 1, but you have 2. We can increase for you to be 3. We can double the fuel from 150 to 300. But what I'm just saying is that we must stop these things that we go out there and discuss issues that are supposed to be. It makes us look stupid. We may have our own internal issues, but the best way to do is to come to the office and we discuss these issues.
And the bipartisan talks between the Azimio and Kenya Kwanza teams have further stalled after the committee co-chair George Murungara refused to co-sign a joint letter giving directives to the IEBC. Azimio is seeking to compel IEBC CEO Marjan Hussain to provide information regarding the 2022 presidential election service and its data. Murungara has called Azimio's demands extra-legal and the IEBC request as a gross violation of the Constitution. And the United States has slapped sanctions on companies associated with the two warring military groups in Sudan, ramping up pressure on both the army and the paramilitary rapid support forces to halt the violence. The U.S. Treasury placed two major arms companies of the Sudanese Armed Forces, Defense Industry Systems and Sudan Master Technology on its blacklist. The parallel, it placed sanctions on gold miner Al Junaid Multi-Activities Company and arms trader Tradive General Trading, two companies controlled by the RSF commander Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo and his family. This is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, traffic going towards Outer Ring today, and that junction is connecting with the Thika Superhighway. Thika Superhighway is not giving off too much in terms of traffic this morning. A little bit as you get onto the Pangani underpass, which is to be expected as you get into that tunnel. Coming off of Kiambu Road, also not so bad. As you get to Mutai Square, it's going to clog up a little bit. Waiki, we're not doing too poorly right now either. Limuru Road, okay, we'll probably see some traffic build up closer to 8:30 going towards 9. But apart from that, Nairobi's not doing too poorly. We're going to see some outbound traffic coming into Naivasha, Nakuru, out in that direction. So, fingers crossed for that. And then well into Kisumu this morning. Mombasa, in terms of the city, not doing too bad this morning either. Talk to us on Spice FM KE on Twitter as we keep things moving this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
6 minutes
this
after 8.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start.
Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. Thank you for keeping it locked on Spice FM or on KTN Home or online. Tomorrow is the 3rd day of June 2023. We'll be running.
Yes, indeed. It's very interesting because yet another number. Yesterday, Kenya celebrated 60 years of independence. This is the 60th edition of the Mata Hat Run that's taking place tomorrow on the 3rd of June. So look at the website. It's matakenya.com. The Hat Run. At that, you'll find your Nairobi route map, the Kericho route map, Kakamega route map, Kisumu, Machakos, Eldoret, Mombasa, Nakuru, Nyeri, and Bomet. So the run takes place tomorrow. It starts at 7 o'clock and expected to go up until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. And remember what this is for, that it's making sure that children who can't afford much needed heart treatment will get it when everybody comes together to run. You can still get in today at your Naiva supermarkets. I believe until the end of today you can purchase a t-shirt at 1,000 shillings, a cap at 500 and a wristband at 300 shillings, trying to raise 120 million shillings to make sure that children can get the heart treatment that they need.
Very good. We have a guest joining us in the studio. He is the County Executive Committee member in charge of finance and planning at the Siaya County Government, CPA Benedict Omolo. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Eric. How do you do?
How do you do? Well, I was about to say, I'm fine. Yes, Waziri.
Duke from the Shire.
From Siaya.
From Siaya. How do you do?
How do you do? I hope you're well, Ndu.
Well, thank you,
and
sir.
City.
Very well, thank you, Ben.
Asante.
And how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. And the last time you were here, we were talking about very, very many other things, including the presidential debate.
Correct.
When you were here, now you are right there in government.
Yes.
You are in the county government of Siaya as the Waziri in charge of finance. How's it going?
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. Siaya, in terms of finance, we're doing well. We are focused on implementing our manifesto. The governor, James Orengo, is very focused on the Nyalore manifesto. Nyalore means it's possible. So we are in the business of transforming Siaya, and we hope that in the 5 years of this first term, we will be able to transform the economic structure of Siaya from more subsistence agricultural farming because we've anchored our manifesto on agriculture. So we hope to pursue what you would generally call agricultural development industrialization, so ADLI. And so we are focused. Indeed, we are one of the few counties that have been able to get the approval to set up the industrial parks. So we have the part of the first group that will get the industrial parks. And so we will look at agro-processing, agribusiness, and look through that as a way in which we'll improve the economic and household incomes of the people of Siaya. Yes.
That's if there'll be money to do all these things.
We hope.
Because as the deputy governor says, money is just leaving the county. We'll discuss that. To welcome you, City, as the day's proverb.
Yes. This is our final proverb from the country of Madagascar, whose capital is Antananarivo.
Come on, man. We're hoping Friday.
Say it again.
I'm not saying it again. I've said it.
We had hope in Friday.
If you didn't hear, Google search it. Okay. Today's proverb from the country of Madagascar. Sadness is a valuable treasure, only discovered in people you love.
Sadness is a valuable treasure, only discovered in people you love. Benedict, when you hear this proverb, does it make sense to you? What's your interpretation of it?
Yeah. My interpretation would be, and I would go back into the good book, the Bible says you better be in a house of mourning than a house of feasting. I think it's about a reflection. When you're sad, you tend to reflect. You try to get in touch with your inner feelings sometimes. And when you have your loved ones perhaps who are causing some sadness, this deeper reflection and interrogation and the meaning of life and the purpose of life comes more to the forebrain. And so you think better, you recalibrate sometimes what your priorities are. So, yeah.
That's deep.
Let's get calibrate, Baba.
For mind.
Yes. Here comes the for mind.
Yes. Not just, I'm just thinking. No, you're calibrating. Yes.
It's a good interpretation.
And pontificating. Actually, you have looked at it very, very well. Especially that bit about somebody whom you're close to. If they are the source of sadness, it causes you to reflect even more. You actually forget pausing, you stop.
You stop.
Yeah.
Yes. And you say, okay, just wait a moment. What on earth is going on here? Yes.
Now, Waziri, we hosted your boss, the deputy governor, earlier this week. And William Oduol has come out strongly to raise what he says are concerns that he has come across in how the county government is being run in Siaya. And we asked him, what are the main areas? He gave us a very clear example. For example, he said, as early as November last year, he started noticing some unusual withdrawals of cash. And the explanations given were just simply not making sense. Amounts of money that would go 21 million shillings in a day withdrawn in petty cash, and the explanation being given is iffy. is that, the money is going to the governor's office. And when he says, when he asked the governor was not aware of this kind of withdrawals taking place. And he says more of such withdrawals have taken place in the county government without clear explanation coming out of the petty cash. And he says, coming from what had just happened in terms of auditing what the previous government was doing, he was shocked that this new administration, which was coming, with a promise that it can do things better, that Nyalore can be done, Tawezekana to do things better, they're still happening this way. He was surprised. You're the man in charge of finance. What do you respond to this?
I think it's very important when we start off conversations about Siaya that we get the background and the context in place. I think it is important to start off and say that immediately the new administration got in, the governor set up a task force to review the issues. You remember that just around the same time that they were getting into office was the allegations of about 1 billion that had been misappropriated. Yeah. So I think it's important that the context be set in place, which number one was the Ouko task force, which was established by the governor to review the systems and procedures of the county government. And a lot of things were unearthed, weaknesses in terms of systems, in terms of processes, in terms of people, in terms of the governance structure. That is clear, and it is in the public domain. The report is in the public domain. And so we cannot argue that there is and there was problems. Okay, that's number one. Number two is the Office of the Auditor General, which has also completed the audit of 2021-22. And have been able to bring their final report, which is an adverse report. An adverse report is that the auditor thinks there are lots of problems, okay, which is fine. Now, it then allows us to then say that we have a baseline that tells us we are in trouble.
Yeah.
Now, it is very important that when you get such documents, you then ask yourself, what do we do? Now, changing a system that has been in place for 10 years does not happen one day. It is a process of cleaning up, of understanding. And I believe that even as we set up, and you will remember that if you look at the CECMs who were selected, we were said to be very high-profile people. And I'm sure maybe some of us who got in there, including myself, you get in there and you wonder, this is a difficult place. Because when you get in and you have all these reports and you have all these things to deal with, you've got to ask yourself, where do you start? Okay? Because when you get into a place which has got deep systemic problems, challenges that you've got to deal with, it can be overwhelming. And you've got to stop and pause. Now, I want to make it very clear that some of the perception created is not true. And so we've got to look at what have we done in that whole period. So let me start then with the imprest. Number one, if we look at the period from November to May, we have only transferred 65 million to the imprest account. And there is rationale for the transfers. Okay? So we don't have this 100 million.
65 million shillings 65. Between November and May.
Yes. Okay? Now, imprest is allowable. Now, what we have done, and we have put in place structures, we have indeed looked at some of the gaps in the imprest process, and we have been able to align with the PFM, and we developed new procedures and policies which has been approved by the cabinet for us to be able to tighten the imprest system. Let me also be very clear that between April 2023 and May 2023, we didn't transfer any amount because we have frozen that account because we are looking at re-establishing it afresh. And so we have gone through the process. I've asked for reconciliations so that we close it and start afresh based on the new procedures and principles. Now, there are some times when we have got to use imprest because Our IFMIS network sometimes is not very stable, and so you will not be able to use the IFMIS system.
Well,
However,
if I may just pause you there, just
Yes.
so that we are all on board and everybody who's following the conversation follows. Explain what an impressed account is.
Okay, so what we have is an impressed account where you transfer money from the main operating account to another bank account, which you then use for your impressed or emerging urgent issues.
What is impressed?
Impressed is basically cash that you're allowed to use to advance. But this is an account, so we can also pay checks out of it. Okay, so it's really an account. Okay,
So what's the money used for? It can be for anything.
It can be used also for some. Okay, so for example, there could be some people who are not defined in IFMIS system. Would pay them as an individual. Like it would be around an individual, like somebody who has done some jobs. We would also withdraw it for some specific activities. So, for example, if we are having games like the Kikoska games,
right?
Okay, you've got to hire buses to transport people. You've got to have coaches who you've got to pay because those coaches are not defined in IFMIS. You'll just withdraw cash and pay them.
Right.
Okay, but you have a budget. So the issue
But
that
how do you account for that?
Okay, I'll come to that. Okay. So you have a budget. So you will withdraw, and then you will have them sign for all the activities that you've done on the programs.
Okay.
Ultimately, when you surrender, so somebody will receive the interest, the cash. They will then utilize it as per a budget that was put out.
Yeah.
Ultimately, when they surrender, because they have to surrender, okay? When they surrender, that gets journalized back into IFMIS. So it's not like somebody received a gift and walked away. That is not true. They will receive the money, they will do the activities, they will then have to account for that money. When that surrender is done, it is then journalized and brought back into the IFMIS system. Okay? So I think we need to be very clear that impressed systems are not gifts for people to walk away with. So that, number one, we need to disabuse that. But secondly, and most important, is that we have been able to set new procedures, and for the last 2 months, we have not transferred into that account because we are working at ensuring that there is better hygiene into the system. Okay?
Waziri, I have to ask, just before you get to that, I mean, it's explainable. I just want to come back to when the deputy governor was here and some of the things that he said. I think they're important to look at. The allegation that's being made is that we're not talking then about these 2 months of March and April that you've talked about where money has not been transferred. But he talked about a time in November and December where in a day up to 21 million shillings was removed in cash from the account. The question is, what would be the explanation behind that? Because he also says he sought explanation and he wasn't given any. Would there be a reason why such large amounts of cash would be withdrawn, up to 21 million shillings in one day?
There is no way, and there is no record where 21 million was withdrawn in one day. Doesn't exist. And so that is not there. So I've told you that even first, the issue of saying 100 million was withdrawn in a couple of months, that does not exist. What we have is up to 65 million. So that is not substantiated. And if you look at the assembly report, that is not substantiated. Okay? So I think he will be able to, on 6th, when he does his oral presentation, let him present what he has. But that is not substantiated. So coming back to the main point here, is that, yes, there were previous issues which have been captured. Okay? And so even the issue of the impressed account in the past, that's captured in the OCO report, it's captured in the Auditor General's report. But we have been able to bring that down. We've been able to, for example, in February, we only transferred 3.1, which is reasonable for running operations. In March, we only transferred 2.3 million, which is reasonable. So there's been effort to ensure that there is greater hygiene, greater control of the processes. But I also want to insist that there is surrender, which happens, and there is journaling back into the IFMIS system. So I think that's an important aspect. I also want us to be very clear that subsequent to even the OCO report being launched, on the 7th of February, the governor, together we hosted the EACC, and we launched the Corruption Risk and Assessment and Investigations by EACC. Okay? So they came and they have done the exercise. We are waiting for their feedback, okay? So that we then look at the areas of weaknesses and improve the systems. Now, on an ongoing basis, what you need to do is to continuously improve your controls and your system. So let me give an example. I think concern was raised about attempted fraud on the payroll. Okay? Now, attempted fraud, in every business, there are attempted frauds. We live in a fallen world. We live with humans. If you go to any of our publicly listed banks or the telcos and they give you a report of attempted frauds, it would be surprising because that thing happens daily. I'm sure even now as we are seated, one of you will receive something from those SMSs which ask you to send some money or something. Now,
email messages.
Or even email messages. Now, the 5.4 million was discovered and it was never paid. The 2.0 in March was discovered and it was not paid. What we should be saying is that the internal controls work, okay? Because an attempted fraud is done and it is captured.
It doesn't succeed.
It does not succeed. Now, the critical thing that is required, what the PFM requires you to do then as an accounting officer, is to report the incident and then create new procedures to ensure that the same thing does not occur. Okay? So it's important for us to be able to say that, yes, there was an attempted fraud. It was discovered. No money was lost. So the issue that we then lost money, that's not true. It was not paid. It was captured. The correct amount was paid. The correction was done. So I think it is important for us to look at an issue in the context within which it is done and get the understanding so that it is not made into, how would you call it, something that becomes...
It's not blown out of proportion.
Blown out of proportion. Okay? Now, in every business, they will have attempted frauds. Now, does the internal control work? And in this particular instances, it worked. No money went out. The correction was made. Now, action. Let's talk about action. The action to the people has got to be extremely procedural. You don't wake up and fire somebody. You have got to go through the proper investigation. You know, today, the employment and labor relations courts are very, very serious. You've got to follow procedure.
Yep.
Okay? Including showing that you have given that individual proper opportunity in the disciplinary process. Okay? According to your procedures, which you must adhere to, and the law. So you cannot just wake up and say a city has tried to do something.
There was attempted fraud, so city go home.
Go home, fired at high noon. It will not work. They'll be reinstated. So we have got to ensure that we follow due process and then come to the conclusion. Let me then also go further, if you allow me, to just elucidate some of the things that we have done as the finance department so that it doesn't seem that Siaya finance department is a chaotic house. Number one, when we got in, we found the pending bills of about 818 million. The UCO report says it should be about 1 billion. Now, I have remained committed to the 818 million, which is verified by the Auditor General. Out of that, we have been able to pay 478 million. That's about 58% of it. We are one of the counties that has worked towards reducing this pending bill. I remember in the morning you were talking of another multi-agency committee to check on pending bills.
Yep.
We have worked to reduce our pending bills. Okay, and the big challenge, especially on the recurrent, is because of the votes. I think we don't budget well, so we've done a supplementary budget too. We'll see how to push a lot more of the pending bills. Hopefully, in June we should be able to reduce the balance of 341 million further down. There was a cabinet committee that was set, which had another 20 million pending bills. I have written to each one of the departments to produce those pending bills. Nobody is able to produce those vouchers. And I have made it very clear, if those vouchers do not come through by mid-June, there'll be no such thing as the cabinet committee on pending bills that had the 20 million. Because it's not just putting that you have a 20 million liability. You must have supporting vouchers, supporting documentations that then are verifiable to initiate any further payment. Let me also state, despite the delays on equitable share, which we know that we still have 2 months, we got March the other day, we have April and May that has not been remitted. Siaya is one of the counties where we are up to date in payment of salaries. We've paid all our statutory obligations in terms of the payroll outputs. And in addition to not just paying salaries, we're on time on paying salaries. Other counties may have 2-3 months salary arrears. We don't. We have paid our staff on time. In addition, Siaya we do not have a bank debt. We have not borrowed from any bank to supplement or to support our operations. Therefore, it is important that even as we look at some of these issues, we are very clear that there is financial discipline, there is organization, but as I've said, it is a journey, it is a process. Let me also talk about our own source revenue, which has been one of the things that we are focusing on in the Nyalore manifesto. We've been working towards it. As at last week, we had 386 million. We're still below our target, which was supposed to be 700 million. But we are sure that we will get to about 480 to 500 million, which is above last year's 436 million. And as we shall improve our systems and processes, we look forward to being able to grow our own source revenue towards the targets of about 800 to 1 billion in the medium term. So we are putting in place systems and structures. We are looking forward to automating our systems. We are looking forward to having a revenue management system that works, an administrative system that works, so that we are able to look at what we can do. I want to turn my attention also to issues such as the casuals and the payroll, which has been a major issue. We have been able to ask for an audit to look into the casuals, because we do have quite a number. But we are also one of the counties that has continuously paid our community health volunteers or workers. We pay them on time.
How many do you have?
We have about 2,500, close to 300, close to 3,000.
How much do you pay them per month?
We just give them a stipend.
Of?
It's about 3,000 or so. Okay. So it's just a stipend. So I know the national government intends to also supplement in the coming financial year. But we have continuously ensured that they are, because they contribute a lot to our health systems and structures. So the other one which we are working on, and we will look into it, is the issue of confidentiality. I have talked about this. We are putting up systems so that we can track, we can have greater audit trail. But in Siaya, we have a problem with confidentiality. I mean, Siaya seems to be one county where payment vouchers, people don't put the context of it. So you get a payment voucher, Ben Omolo has taken an interest of $1 million bob. No context is put into it. Then before long, you have a photo all over the place. Yep. We have got to start getting government officers, despite, and I know Article 35 about access to information, despite that, government remains a place where things are done and there's a sense of order. We can't just have payment vouchers being photographed and put on Twitter and what have you.
Why? What's wrong with that?
No. There's a proper criteria and a procedure in which you get access to documents. Okay? It's not just, that's indiscipline of people. They just want to create
Are you concerned that there will be forgery? I mean, if there's a receipt or a voucher that is out in the public domain and it's real, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with information being out there?
You see, the issue is, Eric, there could be a receipt of 1 million. But if somebody edits it or just shows that Eric has been paid 1 million and they don't understand why the 1 million, they can create a furor on something which they don't understand. So we've got to be very clear on how people access information and how it is used. Okay?
Sounds like you want to be secretive in how,
it's not being
how
secretive.
You're paying people.
No, it's not being secretive. There is a very clear criteria in terms of how you publish. And by the way, we publish our documents. The documents that need to be published are published on the website. And as I've told you, 2 days ago, we were discussing with the team Open Institute on open governance. And I'm happy that Siaya will get there. We intend to get there so that we publish on the website what needs to be published. We have not done well on some areas like our procurements. We can improve on that.
Let's take a break and then we now come and you have stated the various areas where the Siaya County government has worked on, what it's working on. You've responded to some of the allegations that have been raised and the questions that have been asked of the county government of Siaya. Let's take a break. When we come back, now we start engaging on at least a couple of those issues.
Very well.
27 minutes to 9. The CPA Benedict Omolo is the CECM, that's the County Executive Committee member for Finance and Planning in the Siaya County Government. He's here because we've given the government of Siaya now the right of reply. After we hosted the Deputy Governor, William Udwal, and he has some issues that he's raising concerns and saying there could be corruption that's taking place in the government. We want to understand what exactly is happening in Siaya. Let's take this break, take a look at the weather and traffic. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
Aye, City, do like that.
My father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small mammal, big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda.
How are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What are they saying?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me? I said, yes, my name is I Believe. So what's the full name? I believe in the goodness of God.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mostly cloudy conditions in Nairobi at 15, and we've seen 16 and sunny in Nakuru, 16 and sunny in Nyeri, and 16 and sunny in Eldoret. 25 and mostly cloudy conditions in Mombasa, and we'll see sunny at 25 in Malindi. The sun is up in Kisumu at 21 and up at 19 in Kakamega. 23 and partly sunny in Kampala, highs of 28 and highs of 28 as well in a cloudy Dar es Salaam at 24. It's 6 and sunny in Johannesburg, going to highs of 20, and we'll see highs of 30 in a partly cloudy Lagos. It's mostly cloudy at 24 in Kinshasa, highs of 31 and lows of 23.
Spice up your life.
Okay, so looking at a little bit of it on the Thika Superhighway inbound, and Jogoo Road also pretty busy. Landis Road, absolute mess into the city at Kamkunji at the roundabout. Inbound to the city, very, very heavy. On Gong Road, it's heavy, not too bad. Coming towards the city stadium roundabout, city mortuary roundabout, I beg your pardon, rather. And Lunga, a little bit, is going to spill over to the Lekoni interchange, but nothing to worry about, at least not for now. So Friday's not been too terrible. Let's see what happens over an hour or so. And let's talk on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Pierre Benedict Omolo, who is the Minister for Finance and Planning in the Siaya County Government, here to respond to issues and allegations of financial impropriety in the county. City.
Two questions. One, Ben, within the county system, who are the accounting officers?
The accounting officer are the chief officers. So in the departments, the chief officers are the accounting officers. Yes.
So then what do you do?
Okay. Now, what happens is that the CEC in charge of finance designates the chief officers as the accounting officers. Now, the CEC basically is accountable to the governor. Okay, we focus on policy issues. Okay,
it's like the national government.
It's just like the national government. So we focus on policies, setting direction in terms of what needs to be done, the programs, and of course for the CC Finance, we've also got to think about the funding mechanism, so that beyond equitable share, I need to think on how we will finance our programs. And so that's one of the things that the CEC, as a group, we collectively have got to think creatively of how to ensure that the manifesto of the governor is delivered. So we look at the programs, we look at the policies to support them. We also develop concepts, papers for cabinet approval. Some of them would require some legislative requirements. So we interact with the assembly to ensure that we've got the supporting legal framework for our programs.
Okay. I've understood that. Now, you talked about, just as we're getting into the hour, about matters that could be published and some which cannot be published. First of all, when you say published, you're an accountant, so you assume we understand what you're saying. For us, published means it's somewhere in the public domain, it's in print form especially, and it's in the paper. That's published. Okay, so what are these things that can be published? What are these things that cannot be published? And what on earth is publishing?
You see, publishing is basically putting your documents into the public domain. Now, that's part of accountability, and we need to be accountable, and we are open to being accountable as a government. So one of the things that we have done is we have re-established the County Budget and Economic Forum, which is chaired by the governor. This is the body that is really responsible for advising and helping think through the economic issues. Part of what they do is to look at some of the documents that go through the budgeting process and the quarterly financial reports. So if I were to just give an example, we did the annual development plan. That's what triggers the budget process. That was published. We then do the county budget review and outlook paper. That was also published. We did the county debt management strategy paper. That gets published. Then you've got your estimates, which get published. You've got your quarterly reports. Now, the quarterly reports have got to go through the process with the assembly and also with the CBEF for approval. Then you publish it. Now, publishing here is not just limited in that you publish it into the paper. We don't really do that like what would be called public listed companies. For us, you can publish it on the website. Okay. Now, when you publish a document on the website, it generally would be excerpts of the document because you kind of put a summary version that is good enough for people to understand the status of the budget. We have also like the budget implementation report, which basically shows how you're tracking. And also, beyond just what we publish directly as the county, because we submit these reports to Senate, we also submit to the Office of the Controller of Budget, we submit to the Commission for Revenue Allocation, CRA. They also publish these reports. So they take our reports, summarize them, and then they put for the whole, all the counties together. And so these are documents which you can be able to get. If it is not on our website, it would be on the OCOB website, and it gives the details of what we are doing. So that would be, for me, something which we need to be clear about. However, in my view, what I'm trying to bring out is the whole issue of discipline in how we access documents. I mean, I find it odd that Siaya bank statements are all over the place. That's not supposed to be.
Who is supposed to be the custodian of those bank statements?
It is actually supposed to be within the finance department, the treasury. Okay. Now, and let me just state that I also wrote to the banks to ask them that, we have designated officers who are supposed to collect these bank statements. So anybody else should not be able to get our bank statements. That's normal discipline, even for yourself. I would not just get C.T. Muga's bank statement.
So nobody else can?
Nobody else should be able
Not
to.
even the governor?
No, the governor would have to request for it anyway.
So if the governor requests for it, he can get?
Yes. And
if a deputy governor requests for it, he can also get?
Yes, in writing. For documents to move in government, you have to request for them in writing. So I'm not aware. of such requests. So we have got to have order, and as I've mentioned, one of the things we've got to bring is the public officers. There's a confidentiality document that's always signed by government officers. We need to bring
Do they
order
understand
and
the import of that document that they sign?
Well, I hope that the PFM is clear. When you sign a document, it's assumed you have read and understood it.
Is there any history of circumstances or repercussions that have befallen on people who have abrogated the sanctity of these documents that they sign?
Well, I'm not aware in Siaya, but make no mistake, we will be looking for individuals who are flashing these things all over the place. And if we get them, we may be the first ones to ensure that sanctions are put into place.
But I want to discuss something different.
Yes.
Okay. You know,
before you move to something different, I have a concern that is just nagging at the back of my mind.
Yes, please.
And this is, with regards to accessing documents and then what you do with the documents, right? Whistleblowers would be people who come across documents in your office, in an office, or come across information in an office.
Or they have access to information.
Yeah. And then they would then take it to either relevant authorities and or the public. Now, is there anything wrong if a whistleblower actually shares information or shares documents because there's something that's happening and they've discovered, and then they get that information and blow it up?
I think the courts have also been very clear in terms of and given position on admitting documents, because one of the key questions you'll always be asked in court is how you access those documents. You must have accessed the documents in a legal manner for them to be usable. And there's nothing for us to hide, by the way. When I'm saying this issue of order and discipline, it's not that I want to hide anything. Public documents, and I've said Article 35 is very clear, okay? And there's even a form which you fill if you want access to specific documents. That's fine. You fill it, we will give you, okay? Now, the issue is documents must be accessed within the process of the law. And so I think we need, and by the way, it's for all of us as Kenyans, we've got to be disciplined enough not just to throw things in the air. I accessed a document very well. This is how I asked about it, and there's an explanation. And even a whistleblower should be able to ask for the document properly and get the explanation. Now, you don't need to agree with me. All you need to do is to understand when I explain to you. You just need to try to understand. And there is nothing wrong if you take a different position and I take a different position. But we have understood that's how you view it, this is how I view it. And that, for me, is what we need to encourage, that the discourse is not about just throwing things in the air. There's good discourse to say, okay, why has this transaction occurred? And we explain. And that's the right that everybody has, an opportunity to explain. You may not agree, and my job is not to make you to agree. My job is to make you understand. And you can continue to have your position, and I have mine.
Sure.
Okay.
Now, Waziri, I hear what you're saying. Here in this, though, even as you're saying, talking about the work that has been done in Siaya County, especially coming from the finance, with all this previous report that has come from Auditor General, and then on the other side, where the allegations of 1, 2, 3 other things, you must understand then how it looks when, on one hand, the individual in the person of the DG comes out today and says, I have asked for an explanation as to where or what is happening with this money, and none has been given to me.
I think,
based on what you've just said now, that if you ask, we'll tell you, and here he is, because that's what is in the public arena right now concerning a county in the Republic.
And I think we need to go back even to the conclusion and the findings of the county assembly. They were very clear. They said he needs to exhaust all the internal mechanisms. In here, you have an opportunity to come and ask for further explanation. He asked the chief officer.
Okay.
I was there. He's not asked me.
Okay.
He has not asked me. Now, you come and then we get things into the public domain. It doesn't make sense. Okay? Now, you've got to, when you get something and you're not satisfied, you ask for an explanation and you escalate. where the explanation is, or bring clarity into an issue. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay, now not everything needs to find its way into the public domain.
Okay.
That's my point. That even when you have got, and some of the things in-house, when we are working as a group, as a cabinet, there's got to be some things that remain in there, because that's what cabinet is all about. Cabinet is about discussions that occur and remain in there. We make decisions in there together. We can't wake up and start saying, by the way, I voted this way. That doesn't happen. In cabinet, these are things which are by consensus, and if you have any issue of concern, you bring it again into the cabinet, and things are clarified, and we all agree and take a position. However different your view was, once a position is taken, we all defend that position. That's how we move forward. Otherwise, if you do not have a unified government, you will not achieve anything.
There will be chaos.
It will be chaos.
Has this matter then been discussed in cabinet, in the Siaya County cabinet?
Not to the extent that I know of, no.
But the DG attends cabinet meetings?
Yes, he used to.
The DG says that some of his perks have been withdrawn. For example, now he does not. There was a meeting that he was to attend. What meeting was it? There was a meeting that he was to attend, and he told us here.
Yeah, he did.
That it required the staff that accompany him also to get impressed. They were not receiving impressed. Those that accompanied the governor received impressed. It requires that his vehicles get fueled. He says the number of vehicles that he has access to have been reduced. Here, the security detail that's assigned to him has also been reduced. Are these allegations true?
When it comes to the parks and what he's entitled to, I think that is as per the SRC. I would not be able to answer on that. On the issues of interest, we do not have that anomaly. Normally, because of our cash challenges, sometimes we have people who have backlogs of interest. That could be possible, okay? So we don't pay the travel advance, the DSAs, the daily subsistence allowance on the go. Sometimes there could be a delay. One of the other things which you find is because of the abruptness and the nature of it, sometimes you'd find that you would have to go for a trip and then you get your DSA later. So that happens. And that is normal. If we were to list the number of staff who have gone to do activities and their DSAs have come a day or a week later, it would be so many staff. And so for us to isolate the ones for the DG and say that is an abnormality, we are not being truthful. There are several staff who have had to go do operations or attend a meeting or attend to an assignment, and the DSA has been paid maybe a week or two later. That happens.
Ben, that the DG could come here with an entire file and list the complaints he has, there is a problem somewhere. Now, there was a commission or there was a task force led by the immediate former Auditor General, and he came up with some findings. And if I'm to quote you, you said, looking at some of those findings, you came to the conclusion that there is a problem, to put it mildly. Now, problems don't exist in a vacuum. Problems exist because people create them.
Yes.
Behind every problem, there's usually a person. Now, you are new to the county system, to the county government. The people you're working with didn't come with you when you arrived. Many of them, you found them there. So if there's a problem within the county government, some of them are attached to some of these problems. In whatever way, whether it's an allegation, whatever it is. Now, when something is full-blown to the point where the whole country knows that there seems to be issues in Siaya County, what in my mind seems clear is that the deputy governor of Siaya has a problem with some people in the finance department. That is me. I'm not telling you to confirm. I'm just telling you that is clear in my head that he has a problem. Now, what the problem is a completely different subject. But the question I want to ask you is this. Do you think that some of these matters that we are now having to talk about here and which you now are trying to troubleshoot can be resolved within Siaya County?
Yes. You know, when we talk about people, we've inherited people. We are in the final stages, hopefully, to get new chief officers. But we inherited people. And I will be the first to agree that within the finance department, we have gaps with the people. For example, we have a number of people who have the designation CPA, so I'll be a bit careful because these then are supposed to be professional colleagues. But how they do their accounting is rather interesting. I mean, when you have somebody with a CPA qualification and cannot do a bank reconciliation is taught in CPA Section 1.
It's a long time ago.
I mean, if somebody has a Section 6 and can't do a bank reconciliation, I mean, this is something which I should write to ISPAC and to the training institutions to find out what's going on here.
Yes, it was an ISPAC meeting. Sorry.
And so,
ISPAC and I remember.
And so we need to look at this. We have quite a number of accountants there. Some of the accounts that I look at, just that I wouldn't speak to it, but no wonder we got an adverse audit report, just don't make sense. Okay, so yes, I admit that it's difficult. Some of those things interesting, but we shall clean them up. Now, what have I done so far? What I have done is to ensure that this year we have done a calendar of those who will go for training at the ISPAC meetings. I have contacted ISPAC so that we can also have homegrown training in Siaya so that all these accountants can go through it. The National Treasury has just said that we will be transitioning next financial year from cash-based accounting to accrual-based accounting. I have already told the Director of Finance and the Chief Officers to set up a meeting so that we train these particular accountants on accrual accounting. And by the way, accrual accounting is a default system that we are trained on as accountants. So I don't even know why we are wasting so much time training people about what basically any accountant should know. Accrual accounting is it. Now, when you have accrual accounting, things like pending bills don't exist anywhere because you accrue for them naturally on the ongoing accounting formats. So we have introduced performance management. We shall be looking at the accountants. We will be looking at the gaps that they have. We will try to improve their capacities. But also, we will find ways of carrying them. Those who improve. And those who are not willing to improve, we shall find a good way of trying to resolve the people issue.
When the technical matters that you speak of, yes, can be addressed in the way that you say they can be. But within the national government and also within the county governments, it's not Siaya alone, the one persistent problem is the politics, the politicians, and their persistent input into the processes of running these governments. So you have a plan, and there are people. As these governments work, there are people who are there because some people put them there. And there are people who are there because they come from certain parts of that particular county.
Correct.
And so they represent certain interests. So even if they are as uncomfortable as a mole in a nest, the issue of removing them from there becomes a very difficult task.
I agree. But we do have performance management. As we were launching, and we are doing 6 months of this trial of the performance management system. And I have spoken to my team, and I've told them that performance management is not a cosmetic thing. Once you adopt performance management as a philosophy that you want to use, there's got to be a sense of ruthlessness. If somebody does not deliver, it's not a personal issue. It's that you had targets, you did not meet your targets. If there is a sense of incompetence in terms of your skills, we would try to help improve, give you some training. But ultimately, if you are completely unable to do your job, there has got to be a way that we find ways of managing transitions out of the place. Yes, I do agree that there would be influence in terms of engagement, but let me also say that over the last 6 months as the executive, the governor has worked very hard, and in conjunction with the speaker, we have improved the working relationship between the executive and the assembly. Our focus is to deliver the Nyalore manifesto. That is what we are focused on. And so over the last 6 months, it's been great improvement in terms of the relationship between the assembly and the executive. And our focus is really to deliver services to the people. So let's be clear on this. We are clear about our destiny, which is to deliver the Nyalore manifesto and change the livelihoods of the people of Siaya. We are making a commitment that we will persevere at delivering the services. And it is clear to us that our victory is certain. So,
and it's coming.
It is coming.
As we conclude then, Ben, you've talked about, the things that you are doing at executive, things that you are doing with your senior officers, but you also admit that there are issues. There have been attempts at fraud. There have been attempts at doing things or the other. Can you confidently say that there has been no malfeasance in the county of Siaya in the last 6 months?
In the last 6 months, I can be able to say that if there was any, and the investigating authorities would be able to find, it would be very, very minimal. And that would be something which perhaps we don't know, we have not seen. But in the bigger scheme of things, I want to be very clear. In the last 6 months, we have put in place systems, controls, and procedures that will ensure that we can detect any of this malfeasance and malpractice. But as I've mentioned, and as is very clear, we still have people inside that we've got to look at, and so there would be attempts. Attempts would be there. And perhaps 1 or 2 could pass through. But I want to be very clear, as of now, we are working to ensure that the systems and processes work. And for us, we are very clear that we want a clean government, we want an open government, we are accountable to the people.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
CPA Benedict Omolo is the Minister for Finance for the Siaya County Government. He's been our guest. Keep it here for more conversations. Good morning, 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. The Jubilee Party Internal Disputes Resolution Committee has ruled that the National Delegates Conference convened by former President Uhuru Kenyatta was null and void. In its determination, the committee also found that Uhuru breached provisions of the party's constitution, which he issued a notice to convene a National Executive Committee meeting on 28th of April 2022. The committee, led by its chairperson Gideon Solonka, further noted that the National Executive Committee meeting held on the 28th of April 2023 was convened irregularly and had no quorum. The determination by the Disputes Resolution Committee comes after the party chairperson Nelson Zuya lodged a dispute faulting a notice issued by Uhuru to convene a National Executive Committee meeting. Residents of Mombasa constituency have announced plans to push for the recall of their local member of parliament over failure to tarmac the pathetic 20-kilometer Igare-Nyacheki road. The residents who held demonstrations along the road last week said that they will hold monthly demonstrations over the poor state of the road until the area MP Innocent Obire visits the area. Speaking at Igare Shopping Centre after demonstrating from Matierio to Igare, they called on Obire to honour his pledge of tarmacking the road or they commence a process to remove him from office. The residents also claim the MP has allegedly deserted the constituency and demanded an audience with him, failure to which they will start the process of recalling him. They resolved to seek an audience with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission over the tender to do the road. And detectives staged a sting operation and arrested 6 notorious drug traffickers in the coastal towns of Mombasa and Malindi. A Nigerian national identified as Solomon Okafor, who was among those nabbed and who police said distributed cocaine in Malindi town, was deported earlier this week. He was deported to Abuja, Nigeria via an Ethiopian airline through the Moi International Airport, Mombasa. During the operation, detectives recovered 2 kgs of narcotics, which tested positive for cocaine, and 10 million shillings for heroin. Head of Anti-Narcotics Police Margaret Karanja said they detained 6 Kenyans who are set to appear in court today. Senegal's opposition leader Ousmane Sonko has been sentenced to 2 years in prison for corrupting youth, according to the country. The conviction means Sonko, who has a large youth following and is the leader of PASTF party, will not be eligible to stand for the country's upcoming 2024 elections. The court cleared Sonko of other charges, including rape. Sonko previously said that the rape allegations was politically motivated by President Macky Sall's government. Tomorrow Sports and FKF President Nick Mwendwa has launched the FIFA FKF Women Football Campaign at Kasarani Annex. The Women's Football Campaign is a global program which aims at increasing female participation in football and fostering the development of women and girls in the sport. It focuses on creating a structured pathway that nurtures young players, providing them with the necessary support and guidance to excel in football and pursue national team and professional opportunities in the future. This is News. I am Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside. Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
You've had the luxury of living for 50 years and you cannot still explain yourself. Surely. Oh my God.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
Since about shipping up.
You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they'd been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raised a hand. Teacher, are you talking about the ship or ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
all right, not too bad this morning. As getting towards Ngara, and that's coming from the city. Some traffic here and there. It's been not too bad of a morning. Traffic coming off the Thika Superhighway. Not much to contend with. Just going to keep an eye on things as we get closer towards the end of traffic hour this Friday. We're not seeing too much also coming off of Mombasa Road as you go towards the Haile Selassie Junction. All right, so let's just keep an eye. Let us know what jumps out at you. Spice FM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
It is 6
is the
minutes after 9.
Situation
How
Room.
are you doing?
The only
Welcome to the final hour of Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room, this lovely morning, the 2nd day of June 2023. We are on to the final hour of the conversation this week. It's Friday. Hey, I was confusing myself.
This week moved
Sindio. It's Fridays. That means that you have a Health Friday conversation like we always do. Before we introduce our guest, remember tomorrow as we talk about health as well, the health of our children's hearts.
Indeed, the 60th edition of the Matter Heart Run takes place tomorrow, and from 7 a.m. until 11, this race will be taking place in Nairobi, Kericho. Well, not race, the run. Will be taking place in Nairobi, Kericho, Kakamega, Kisumu, Machakos, Eldoret, Mombasa, Nakuru, Nyeri, and Bomet at the same time. And what are we running for? We're running to contribute and make sure that those who with children with heart problems can be treated because they can't afford it. So 60th year of running, 60th year of making sure that children with these heart conditions get the treatment that they need. So come out and do it. You still have some time to buy your merchandise. Merchandise guarantees you registration. 1,000 shillings for a t-shirt, 500 for a cap, and 300 for a wristband.
Kabisa, and we better do that. Before we welcome our guest, there's a forward I've seen on social media. Tumepanga, tumesema, tumeweka mikakati, tutafanya, tutapunguza, tutateremsha, tutahakikisha mwaka huu chini ya miezi 6 kufikia mwezi wa 9 tumeongea na waziri kuanzia mwezi ujao. Vile vile tumetenga, sijui kama tunaelewana. Tuko pamoja?
Mimi niko tu at least.
Kabisa? Aye. All right, so Health Friday conversation. Let's talk about autism. What autism is all about, and when autism leads to delayed speech in children. We are joined by Wamboi Mbogwa. Wamboi is a speech therapist. Good morning, Wamboi.
Good morning to you too.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Did you have a good Madaraka day?
Well, so-so.
What is so-so?
With the economy and everything happening, it's still so-so.
On which side of the so are you? Are you on the lower side of the so or the higher side of the so?
The in-between.
The in-between, the
Yes.
so-so?
Yeah.
Okay. You get it?
No, I don't actually.
You don't get it, forget about it.
You know, so-so is really in between. So the in-between of the so-so, what is that exactly?
The
You're
father
there.
in between.
Further in between.
Yes.
You know that renders you now unaenda to south.
Unaenda. Usijali, tumepanga. Tutahakikisha. Siti, mpatie dada medali ya leo.
Yes, medali ya leo ya nchi inaitwa Madagascar. I'm not talking about the capital city. Madagascar, the country. Sadness is a valuable treasure only discovered in people you love.
Sadness is a valuable treasure only
discovered in people you love.
Homeboy, this proverb, does it make sense to you?
It's only people you care about that can make you sad.
What? So that's simple. Doesn't it's only people that you care about that can make you sad.
Yeah, their perceptions, the way they look at things, the way they make you feel matters. That is why you get the feeling of sadness. You have to have a degree of caring towards someone or a situation for it to matter to you.
Somebody you care about, whatever they do, whatever they won't affect you one way or the other. Somebody you don't care about. That's a good one.
It is quite.
That's a deep one. It's a deep one. Thank you for joining us today, Wamboi. Autism is what we want to discuss today. Let's first of all start by defining autism. What is autism?
So autism, in simple terms, rather, is it's what we call a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects communication, it affects social interaction and behavior. And further into that, we cannot say there is one thing that causes autism. the way you would ask what causes autism, and most parents will ask that. We all know that a virus causes this problem and there is a medication for that. For autism, research has not, or rather scientists have not specifically said this is the cause of autism, but rather it's a combination of genetic factors and environmental factors that lead to autism. Yes.
Neurodevelopmental disorder.
Yeah.
That means born with it, or does it develop at some point after birth?
No, you're born with it. It's not like something like, let's say, if a child falls and they are hit in the head, they could have a challenge that is traumatic brain injury. That is an acquired challenge.
Yes.
However, autism, you're born with it. There's nothing that would say at a certain point this happened. And that is why we are seeing in developed countries, at birth, we have a speech therapist in the midst, an occupational therapist in the midst. And in an ideal situation, that is how it should be. So most of these things are detected early enough, because early identification leads to early intervention.
You call it neuro what again?
Neurodevelopmental.
Break that down for us, please.
So the neuro means the brain. It's not a physical entity. So, and it develops. It's gradual. It's not one thing. That it's not the way it appears in child A, it will appear in child B. It is different. Autism is unique to an individual and a child. Yeah.
So what are these ways in which it manifests itself?
So you mean the red flags,
Yes.
I assume. So some of these red flags, and I'll put a disclaimer with the red flags that I'm going to give. Some of these things, you might notice them in children who we call typical and atypical. So typical is what we call, quote unquote, normal children. This is how a child should be. And some of these red flags that I will highlight may also not be in a child with autism. So some of them are lack of eye contact or interest in others. There is delayed or absence of speech and language. Then there is also repetitive behaviors. They want a specific thing, that like they could be arranging cars specifically from red all the way to black in that order. And what we might say, oh, my child has OCD and all that. Yeah. The other thing is lacking interest in playing with others. So they prefer independent play more than associative play. We know children are social being and exploring. They just want to be by themselves completely. Yeah. The other thing is they have unusual reaction to sensory stimuli. And in this, I'll ask you guys a question. How many senses do we have?
5.
6.
Oh, wait a moment. Are they the same in the daytime and at night?
Yeah. Or Friday? Or Friday senses or Monday senses?
Let's just say science senses. The ones that you learn is how many senses do we have?
We were taught 5.
5.
Then they say there's some salient ones, no?
We have.
You were taught 5. Hey.
How many were you taught?
They had reduced them by the time they was
No, they increased them by the time I think they got to know.
You were taught 2, 3.
3. So in which of this?
Sight, touch, but when I forget.
Smell.
Hey, see?
Taste.
And hearing. Yes. Those are 5. We have 8 senses.
They were those ones also. It's a long time ago that we were taught.
We actually have 8 senses. Right? Yes, we do have 8 senses. And I know that people will say, oh, the 6th one, common sense. Well, they say common sense is not so common. But we have 8 senses. Apart from the 5, we have interoception, which is how you feel. When you're hungry, you don't need to be told, by the way, you're hungry. You feel that you're hungry. Right. So interoception is understanding the workings of your inner organs. Then we have proprioception, is understanding your place in space. That is why you walk upright with your head up, not like this. All right. Then the last one is vestibular. Vestibular is balance. When you're walking, you walk in a specific straight line. And you will notice, I digress from the topic today, but a child who was born prematurely, they are yet to develop that sense of balance, vestibular, and they will tend to misstep, wobble a bit. And when you walk next to them, because you're what is guiding them, they will now walk straight. You move away, they go back to the wobbling. So those are the 8 senses. And a child, some red flags for children with autism is a child might have overstimulation in these senses or unusual relation with these stimuli in their senses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I need to ask you something. Because we've seen with some of these conditions that don't have a physiological makeup, that they will say you could be predisposed to this if this were to happen. Is autism one of them? For example, you say mother during pregnancy may have eaten such and such. Family who live in certain areas then predisposed because of 1, 2, 3. Does autism fall into this category in any way?
At some point it does. Like, remember when I said the two main causes of, some of the way it's been said that autism comes about is because of the genetic factor, which is, with genetic factor comes in the genetic predisposition and environmental factors.
Okay.
And right now we're getting to work with a lot of children with what the pediatricians or neurodevelopmental specialists are calling virtual autism.
Okay.
What virtual autism is, and most parents will come at me with this, is too much screen time. So when kids have access to screen at a very young age, they're not allowed to interact with us people. Children do not learn they do not listen to what we say.
They're not social.
Children are social beings. They imitate what we do. They do not do what we tell them. And what are we doing? We have a screen. The child has cocomelon. They say, oh, my child sings, says the letters, does this. But my child does not communicate. What is the problem? So they will catch up. And the challenge is not they will catch up. If today I told you, I have an Italian TV station, please start watching it, then come to speak to me in Italian. Are you able to?
You would.
You will not.
As a child, you would.
Actually, no. What you will have is a repetition.
Oh,
you will sing along to the music. Right now, most of us can sing rumba.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Lingala.
But we have no clue what it means.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you saying that then autism can be acquired as a condition? Because you said before that you're born with it. But then now we are saying that that the condition can come from doing other things, like this screen time. So can you acquire it as you go along? And we're talking about babies, infants.
We're talking about children in
and
general.
Then infants may have been born with it, or would you have been predisposed to it, and then behavior as you grow older establishes the condition? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it is exactly that. But look at it this way, from a speech therapist point of view, that's why we do not diagnose, and we have a neurodevelopmental specialist coming in for that. So when the diagnosis is done, what we equip parents with is, what can you do to ensure that you're not putting your child at risk? Like I've said, is what the doctors are diagnosing right now is virtual autism, for lack of a better word, is this child, if they were in a different condition, they would have been a social child, they would have had their speech at the right age, but because of the environmental factors that you've put in place, you are putting the child at risk of these conditions. Yeah.
How would parents know, your mother, father, whatever, how would you know if your child then was displaying this behavior that was then not normal and that could be autistic?
Like the red flags I've given earlier.
Yes.
Yeah. So the eye contact is one of them. Lack of interest to play with others. Lack of imaginative play. Like a child with peekaboo, that makes sense to a child. 6 months, you start playing, having imaginative play. Or just taking a spoon and pretending to pretend play, basically, is what I'm talking about. Then it is just social interaction and behavior. If you notice that this child, when they get into a place, you're playing music, and their first instinct is hands over the ears, and the music is not overly loud, that would be stressful to you, or there's light and they have a facial grimace in this situation, then you can tell that this is not normal, quote unquote. Because if music is too loud, the reaction is not to scream and shout and run away. It is to ask, how else can I walk away? Or it's too loud. Could you reduce the volume?
Yeah.
There is a response to every scenario or stimuli that we have, and that is what it should be, or rather normal, quote unquote. So if parents notice my child is in some situations when we are amongst other children, doesn't want to play with children, doesn't want interaction with anybody else but me who they're used to, you should seek a second opinion. And when it comes to language, I want to be very specific, not speech, but language. All right?
What's the difference?
Now, speech is what you're doing right now, the verbose. All right? Language is using words to communicate. All right? Now, speech can be both verbal and non-verbal. Because if I did this, do you understand what I'm asking for?
Food.
Exactly.
If you did what again?
If I did this is food, right? If I said this, give me that, you understand I'm asking for something to drink. Isn't it?
Yep.
Yes, so that is non-verbal communication. If I shake my head like this, you understand, not the one you're thinking, not that drink. It's Friday, I understand.
Unless you're in some parts of South America where you shake your head and it means
yes. But
so,
in African and we have.
Or in India. India, when you shake your head, you mean yes only.
Yeah, but we have to also remember that these conditions, most of the information that we have is very Western, European. There's very minimal. That is what we are doing right now. We are researching in the African, Kenyan context, what it means. Because when you tell a child to look at you in the eye, it is taboo to look at an elder person in the eye and just talk to them when you're looking at them in the eyes.
Yeah.
But it is essential in the European American context to look at someone and they're talking. So we are doing research and further research in the African and Kenyan context specifically to understand how does autism, what are the red flags in our setup?
In Kenyan
I have to ask this question.
Yes, please.
So are we saying, for instance, let's talk about autism generally.
Yeah.
A child with autism whose natural mien is not to look at someone directly. Are we trying to suggest that if the child was an African, they would react differently from a child who was a European and if they both had autism?
It's been, even boys and girls, yes, it's different. It does, even for two children from the same location, autism appears differently. It's unique.
Yes. Now, I'm talking about a strain of autism that is similar in both, okay? A child who's doesn't quite look at you directly. He always looks elsewhere. I'm simply trying to determine that is this just a human condition that may be exhibited in autism, and is there a specific difference if that autism is in a child who is either European or Western, or is it, if it's in an African, then the question would have to be asked, what if it's in an Asian?
Yeah. So the red flags that we give, we do not look at them at specifically one at a time. We look at this child. Does this child have at least 5 of these 8 red flags? Like, is the child ticking all this? For any condition, you have to look. Are you checking all the boxes? Not just one. Because you'll find typical developing children who have no other condition, but still they may enjoy playing. We have they want to be alone. There's nothing, they have no issue. They understand everything. They have no behavior issues, but they prefer playing by themselves. We cannot say this child has autism because they prefer playing by themselves. We have to look at it from this perspective. Are you checking all these boxes? Are you hitting all these red flags? What are the other delays in milestones that you're having? What are those unique issues that you're having? So that's why we bring in a neurodevelopmental specialist who will come and check and work with the child for a longer duration before the diagnosis is made. You cannot see a child for one session and say, all right, this one has autism. It has to be multiple sessions in different environments, because how a child comes to a clinic, for example, I'm based in AAR hospital. So if a child comes to the AAR clinic and I see them from there, the way the environment of AAR is unique from their home environment. This child might be very quiet in the AAR hospital clinic, but when we go home, they are all over the place. They are playing with everybody. They're playing with the neighbors. When they go to school, they're again very quiet and cowardly because the teacher pale mwalimu is wewe, watcha, our 844 systems. So all those, and we have to look at all those areas. What is happening? How is a child like in all these different scenarios? Yeah.
And I think I see what City you're asking. It's probably maybe from the context of the adult.
Yes.
In terms of looking and noticing these red flags. Because if we as Africans know that, you are brought up and you bring up a child to understand the difference between a child and an adult and whether you look at an adult directly or not. So you will not be looking out for whether this child is looking at you directly in the face. So you will not notice, because this is a child not looking at you, that is the normal child.
Yes.
Yeah. And probably that's what you're talking about now, what you're working on to contextualize these red flags in an African way, so that you know what to look out for.
Exactly.
Andrew is saying there are some children who may have delayed speech because they have a problem with hearing.
True.
How do you detect that?
Great. That's a good one, because speech and autism do not always walk hand in hand. It is part of them, but speech delay in itself, it can be because of hearing problems. It can be, again, because, like I mentioned, traumatic brain. Now, hearing problems, the first location we'll ask a child, and the first person they see, we are in the specialist, speech therapists are in the specialist category, so they will see a pediatrician who will refer them to a neurodevelopmental specialist, or if it's a hearing problem, an audiologist. So what we do is we ensure that we work as a multidisciplinary. What do I mean? It is not that I am working with this child by myself and we achieve everything. We have a pediatric neurologist. We have an occupational therapist. We have a physiotherapist if need be. We have an audiologist coming in. We have an ENT specialist. Of course, the child will be first sent to ENT if it's hearing issues to identify what kind of hearing is it. And then if a child is born deaf, between 0 to 3 years, there is something that can be done. A cochlear implant can be done. And after a cochlear implant is done, then they will be sent to us in speech therapy. After, of course, we work with the audiologist at that point where there is mapping of that so that we can start teaching them how are sounds like.
Right.
Remember how you hear, what God created in your the hearing part of it and what we manufacture. The sound systems are a bit different. The same way if you broke your hand and you have a titanium rod put in, your functionality is slightly
It's not
different
the same.
from mine if it's just bone, yeah? So the same thing. So we come in as speech therapists in terms of language mapping and shaping and teaching children. We start with the simplest sounds, which are environmental sounds. How do you start hearing it? So there's something that can be done. But ENT tells us what is the condition. An audiologist does the mapping, tells us where is the child hearing at. Did you know at where we hear? It is negative 10 to 25 decibels.
Decibels,
Yeah. If a child is hearing between 20 to 30, then they have a challenge with hearing. There are sounds they will not hear. If it keeps going from mild to profound to severe, then there's interventions for all those areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when established that a child then is autistic, what are some of the interventions then that are necessary? I mean, we know about speech therapy.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely important because there's delayed speech, delayed communication on that level. Do children who are autistic need to be in a different learning environment from other children?
After an evaluation by an education psychologist, an education psychologist determines is this child going to function well in a mainstream? Do they need more intervention? Because I think what we have done here in Kenya, and we're really trying, is having set up a special unit. But we are not equipping the teachers in that room to understand this child has autism. And this autism is not like you've seen child B. Theirs occurs differently. So we need this intervention. So a special needs teacher is vital in this environment. An applied behavior specialist is very important. What an applied behavior specialist does is in everything we do as we are growing, everything is a behavior, including language. How do you react? If somebody pushes you, how do you react? Do you pick a rock and hit them? Do you go report them to the teacher? How do you react? So in applied behavior analysis, that is taught how to deal with behavior. If a child is overstimulated, they cannot say, this room is lit up, beautifully lit up, but there's a child who will come here and this is annoying and stimulating. It's too bright, it's too annoying, it's too in your face. What do? I will start hitting it. So how do you relate with that? You can request for the light to be changed. That an occupational therapist comes in because of the sensory stimuli. If it's balance, if you're sitting and this child is all over the place, what are they seeking or what are they running away from? So they assess that and then they intervene in that perspective. So I cannot give an answer right now saying, yes, they need a special class, but after an assessment by an educational psychologist, then they will advise in regards matters academics.
It's been said that some children who display as autistic also are geniuses. That their capacity for knowledge, understanding, and even to be able to surpass when it comes to subject matter then is phenomenal. What's the explanation behind that?
That's very true. Autism is a spectrum disorder, meaning we have a whole range. It's not just one, like this is how it appears. So in spectrum, it means that there's a child who is really what they considered before, it was called high-functioning autism. Think of, top of my head, Mark Zuckerberg has autism, or what's called Asperger's syndrome. Then you'll find there's a child who functions at what they call the lowest end of the spectrum, which this child will for life need support. Even as an adult, they will still function as if they are a 3-year-old.
Okay.
They are 47 in age, but the mental capacity is that of a 3-year-old, so they're still having their tantrums, they're having their issues. Then there's the other one who is in the midpoint maybe, who sometimes has challenges, sometimes can function. So it's a whole range. That is why we say you have to first of all understand what is their child's ability. There's one unique thing that children with autism also have. They can be savants. A savant is somebody who is perfect in one specific thing. That I remember there's a child I've worked with. If he looked at you like this, he will draw you from that position. Even if you left, just need to look at you for like 20 seconds, then take pen and paper and draw exactly how you look like.
Right.
All right. So that's a savant. There's one who you would ask the birthdays of anyone as long as they asked you your birthday once.
They got it.
You will ask them years later. I call this child and she will call me up and like, tomorrow is Mr. So-and-so's birthday, right? And I'm like, what? I have no clue about that. Or someone you ask them, so what was the date in 1840 in January 15? What day was it? Like this, tell you it was a Wednesday or a Tuesday. And we cannot do that. They cannot tell you how they do it. They are a savant. For them, they see it and it appears exactly as it should be. Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's take a break. It's 9:30. Today, it's this Health Friday. We are talking about autism, delayed speech in children, and understanding autism and what it's all about. Wamboi Mbogwa is a speech therapist. In fact, when you come back out of this break, you'll tell us what does that mean, a speech therapist. So, how do you train to become a speech therapist? That's the conversation we're having shortly. Keep it here. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
London Mulo DJ Absolute. When the gang is together,
got the sugar, got the spice.
Yorada. Yes.
I have missed you like hot hamburgers. Eh?
Like hot hamburgers.
You know, bad boys give more money than you can count.
Hey, bad boys give more money than you can count. If it's fun, it's funky, it's fresh, you're definitely going to catch it here. I don't know what you do every day from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock, but if I were you, I'd tune in to
Sugar and Spice only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So if you say it's on, then it's on. Yeah.
All right, still cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. We'll see highs of 23 and lows of 15. We'll go to highs of 26 in a sunny Nakuru at 18 and down to lows of 14. Partly sunny at 18 in Nyeri, highs of 23 and lows of 15. And in Eldoret, it's sunny at 19, highs of 25 and lows of 13. It's partly sunny at 26 in Mombasa and sunny at 27 in Malindi at 24. Kisumu is sunny, going to highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 28 in a sunny Kakamega at 23. It's 23 and mostly cloudy in Kampala, highs of 28, and Dar es Salaam will see highs of 28. It's partly sunny at 25, 8 degrees and slightly warmer in Joburg, highs of 28 and lows of 8, and we'll see lows of 25 in now partly sunny Lagos. It's sunny at 24 in Kinshasa, highs of 31. Looking out into a sunny Beijing, Friday going to evening is 30 degrees, highs will be 31. Sunny at 12 in Paris and sunny at 12 in London as well. Clear skies in New York, 20 degrees till Thursday night, coming into Friday, highs of 28 and lows of 18.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Hasn't been too difficult with traffic this morning, so really, where you look today, you shouldn't find any from this time. The Thika Superhighway has performed very well. Maybe some outbound traffic is what it suffered from, as well as on Waiaki Way outbound, but then into the CBD, Mombasa Road, out towards the southern bypass. And on Gong Road this morning has not been bad at all. I think we can safely say we are out of traffic hour for today, at least this morning. Let's keep in touch through the rest of the day. Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Business News with Spice FM.
I'm Dennis Aseto. The Central Bank of Kenya has retained its base lending rate at 9.5% after inflation dropped last month. CBK's Monetary Policy Committee said that the tightening of monetary policy in March 2023 to anchor inflation was showing some signs of improvement in the economy. It also added that the government's move to allow duty-free importation of certain food items, such as sugar, will ease inflationary pressure. Customers using the Fuliza platform increased by 16.8 million shillings in the year ended December. A new report shows highlighting preference for the short loan facilities among Kenyans. The lender said that usage went up to 33.9 million from 17.1 million in a similar period in 2021. Customers using Fuliza, which is the biggest credit service for NCBA, are charged a 1% fee of the amount disbursed and an extra 36 shillings every day when the loan is not repaid. Kenya put a great showing in this year's Huawei ICT Competition 2022-2023 Global Finals that just concluded in Shenzhen, China. The competition attracted more than 120,000 students from 2,000 universities and colleges from 74 countries and regions around the world. The 146 teams, 429 students from 36 countries and regions, went to China for the global final after the national and regional competitions. Among the contestants were 15 students from various Kenyan universities who were flagged off on the 18th of May 2023 by Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi. The East African tech industry is growing at an unprecedented rate, showing no signs of slowing down. From Kenya to Ethiopia, startups across the region are transforming their respective industries and changing lives. But despite this impressive growth, there's one major challenge that many companies are facing: a shortage of skilled developers. According to 2021 research by Google, there are about 716,000 developers across Africa, with over 50% of them based in Egypt, Kenya, Morocco, Ethiopia, and South Africa. Kiosk Digital Services is looking for a strategy associate with a bachelor's degree in business administration or economics or engineering with at least 2 years of work experience in a progressively developing role. Suitable candidates are required to send their CVs and cover letter by 30th of June 2023. Visit jobs.digga.co.ke for more information on these and other jobs. Digga Jobs, your credible and trusted jobs partner.
Spice FM Business. Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Minutes to 10. We continue our conversation. This Healthy Friday conversation is about autism, and Wambui Mbogo, a speech therapist, is our guest. Before we start checking some of the questions that I'm seeing on social media, Wambui, what's a speech therapist?
So a speech therapist is a specialist who deals with not only matters speech as the name says it, but we work in areas in speech itself, in feeding and swallowing. I know this is new, right? Fluency and voice. So fluency, fluency is somebody with a stammer. We work with people who have a stammer or a stutter or a clutter.
Or a murmur.
A murmur? A clutter or a stammer. Not a murmur. Yeah. For a minute there, I thought we were talking about a heart murmur, not our field.
Oh, okay. Well,
what did you have in mind?
Oh, there's people who will not be able to enunciate or clarify their words. People who eat their words and put everything together.
That's called a clutter.
It's called a clutter.
Yeah, somebody who clutters goes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a clutter. Okay. And then you guys are part of our clientele. People who use voice professionally.
So what do you do with us?
So with you, we teach you proper strategies of voice use, and we train you on what we call voice therapy. So you stop using. Let me give you a quick example. Right now, all three of you, breathe in. No, like proper breathing. A big one. You know the deep breathing in?
How do you breathe in improperly?
You do this. You use your chest muscles. Okay. Proper breathing is, remember biology. When you breathe in, exactly, the diaphragm goes down and outwards, pushing your belly out.
Where's the diaphragm exactly?
Right here. Okay. So when you're breathing in, your belly should go out, your chest should, your shoulders and chest should stay still. Belly pushes out. Yes. Now that's a deep breath. And you should use that to speak. And that's why you find by the end of the day, for most voice professionals, they're so tired in the throat because they've been using this to speak. What we call the head voice. You use from here,
use
from your belly
to speak.
Yes.
I'm not speaking to you with my stomach.
Yeah. And then the other thing that we are culprits of, for especially professional voice users, is this thing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's not proper. You're going to be one of our clients.
What are we supposed to do?
You're supposed to either drink water or cough, like a deep cough, like that. Because if there is an irritation to your throat, that is what you should do. If you do that, what happens when you're speaking, the vocal folds do like waves in the ocean, all right? But when you do the clearing of the voice, what you do is you bag them together.
And that does what?
That causes scarring and irritates that area more. Yes. And you have voice, my voice at the end of a day, I have a voice
So when
issue
I
here.
feel irritated, I should cough.
Cough, like not...
Or drink water.
A proper cough, like, yes, drink some water to clear that. So if there is anything in the throat, it will just go down.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
So this is what you do to help, for example, our children.
Yeah, for children now, children is one of the things we work with children is the stomach itself, feeding and swallowing, and now language. All right. Now, for what is causing for language, I'll move into language mainly. Now, for language, what do we do as speech therapists? What do we do in language? Is the question you're asking. So, in language, what we teach is from the first part, the phonological aspect of language, and I went to the science of it, is the sound system from all those. All right. Then we move to the word systems. So a cow, a cat, a dog. That's the word system. Then we use those words to form sentences. More milk, more tea, more food. Now, what you'll notice for a parent to realize my child has a delay in speech is this child at 6 months, this should be babbling already. We start communicating very early. Not speech, communicating very early. At birth, you're communicating. The child cries, hey, you're ninja. The child does scream, this child is happy. So we start with communication. Then there's the babbling. If your child is not babbling or cooing, the ba, all those, it should be a point of worry. Now, by the age of 1.4, if the child at that's 16 months, if a child has no words, you should start thinking of an intervention. Start by the environment. Do we have too much screen? Because research shows that children below the age of 18 months, if they're exposed to 30 minutes of screen time a day, they're at risk of having a speech delay.
30 minutes.
Screen
30
time,
minutes.
as in TV.
TV, phone, anything that is a screen. What you want a child to have is talk to them. Look, see the car is going very fast. Speak to them like that. Think of this. For mothers, they were talking to the child in the belly. When the child is out, now they no longer talk to them. They talk at them, not to them.
This is at 13 months.
At 14 months, a child
14
should be having words.
No. We're saying that, sorry, you talked about the screen time for children. And if they're doing 30 plus.
30 minutes a day
at what age?
Below 18 months, the child is at risk of speech delay.
Are there children who are watching TV at 18 months for more than 30 minutes a day?
Let alone 18 months, 2 months, we have a child is exposed to a screen. They have a screen when they're eating, when they're breastfeeding, they have a screen near them, they have a tablet when they sleep. Music, now there's a difference between music being played in the room, perfect.
Okay.
Music is okay.
Perfect.
What sort of music?
Whatever music you listen to in your house. You can be listening to house music in your house, rock music, I don't know. Whatever you're listening to, what you want is, that is perfect. But a screen where a child is glued to a screen, that is what is causing challenges.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, several questions that are on social media. Ndu, maybe you can take some of them.
Okay, my 2.5-year-old son has a delayed speech and I'm decided to take him to a play group and suddenly he's overly hyper. He likes adults more than his fellow children who fear him. Is that a red flag?
I would say it is. You need to come in for a consult. Already you've highlighted that my child has a speech delay, prefers adults to children. You know why? Because as an adult you have the patience to wait for the child to do something. Their peers do not have the patience to wait for them. So bring them in for an assessment. And it might be we will assess and find out what is causing that issue. How is the home environment? A child is like a flower. When a flower is not blossoming or blooming, we do not work on the flower, we work on the environment. How is the soil like? Do we need to add more fertilizer? What input do we need to do? Like I mentioned, we tend to talk at our children, not to our children. That is what's causing most of the challenges.
Something else I would like to ask.
Yes.
As a child develops, some of these issues that are related to autism, do we find the prevalence higher in children who have other siblings, or do we tend to find them in children who are the only child in the family?
I'll give you this as an honest response, is I do not have the clear statistics to give that, because we have no way of knowing who necessarily has it. Because we've encountered like that most of the children I've worked with, you find it's either the eldest child or the last born child. So they may have other siblings or they may be only children.
Okay, where I'm going with this is when then one wants to intervene and ensure that whatever influence or effects of autism are reduced to a manageable level, to a level where the child can actually function acceptably, would then the presence of siblings be a help or a hindrance?
It is, of course, a help. Having peers to play with and talk to, it is, of course, a help. Because children, what happens with children is they ape what is happening in their environment and from their peers mainly. So that's why when you're having a therapy session, we would have what we call group sessions. For group session, you have peers of the same age. It might not be similar conditions, but they might be similar challenges they're having, but they're within the same age group. And you find this child will respond even better, even in a group setup. When a peer says, pass me the block or give me the block, they will imitate that statement, give me, more than they would when I'm having a session with them one-on-one, because they're learning from their peer. Yes.
When you say learning from their peers, we often relate that statement to children, and yet I find it's the same in adults.
True.
That people are influenced more by their peers. Whether they're adults, whether they're adolescents, whether they're young adults, it's the same. So essentially, these habits that we have, they're more noticeable in our childhood, but we seem to carry them with us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
When we grow up, we start shaping and aping. We just know, when I'm talking to Eric, he prefers when I look away when I'm talking to him. So I just make that as a behavior. But when I talk to you, Muga, I know you like when somebody looks at you. So I'll do that. We learn how to work with our environment. And it is more noticeable in children because we zoom into them. In adults, we just say, or teenagers say, that's just bad behavior. And we move away from it. But we forget that a child with autism becomes an adult with autism. So it doesn't end. It doesn't stop being autism. They just learn behaviors of how to cope with their environment.
But from what you're saying, then it appears that, yes, you may have interventions for the child, but there seems to be an even greater need to attend to the parents, because getting the parents to understand the condition that their child has and being able to understand how best they can manage and help this child to grow and to become not only an acceptable an adult and to function normally in the environment, that journey seems to be even greater with the parents, because the child with autism, that's how they are. It's the parents who have what one may refer to as a sense of what ought to be normal, who then have to be taken through that journey of accepting this particular situation.
That's true. And that is why when we're having our sessions, the first session is mainly centered to what we call a caregiver workshop, is who is in the child's life. The mom, the dad, the grandma, whoever is in that child's life is who we talk to. And we continue with, we have workshops that we create where we invite parents over the break. We invite parents to come in, ask your questions, observe us, play with your children. Because children, we will not do a speech session where the child is seated here and I'm across and I'm saying, what is this cow? What is this book? What is this chair? That is not speech therapy. Speech therapy is using play, because the business of a child is by and large play. So we use play. We have a car and we are moving. In the moving of the car, we have following instruction, listening and responding. We have all this. So yes, it is important for us to take, and we work very closely with psychologists, because remember when a parent is given a diagnosis, they go through the grief process.
Yeah.
They are grieving. So how do you've been told your child has autism. That is what you're told. Then we expect you to continue functioning with this child. We have to understand that this is not what they were expecting. When they were giving birth to that child, when they were having that child, they were planning for the child. They were planning for, quote unquote, a normal child, an easy. Of course, they were expecting challenges, but they were not expecting the challenges that they are seeing currently. So they are going through the grieving process. They're going through denial, bargaining, everything. And we work very closely with counselors and psychologists so that they can also help support the parents.
Sure.
Yeah.
Another question that comes in, my son was normal speech-wise, could communicate, but withdrew after the sister was born and has now been diagnosed with autism. Could this have been due to too much screen time? Is a question.
Good question, but I cannot say it's just one thing that caused that. Remember, how are you you look at it from this point, how are you interacting with the child when they were just the child themselves in the household? How are you talking to them? How are you playing with them? The sister has come in. So it could be, if I keep quiet, then mommy has attention for me.
Yeah.
But when I talk, because you can communicate, you will leave you. Baby is crying. When baby cries, mommy goes towards them. So what do? I cry, mommy gives me attention. So they learn a behavior. It's how we will, now what you do in such a situation, we will ask the parent, how is the home environment? How is the home setup? How much time are you getting to spend with this child as well and playing with them?
Right.
Who is playing with them? So that is also important,
Is there a cut-off age by which a child with delayed speech must start therapy?
16 months, we say just come for a consult with us.
What if someone doesn't come? A child goes into 1 year, 2 years, 3 years.
You still
because you
can
can imagine, across the country, very many parents, if a child has not started speaking, then you're already starting to think, okay, maybe there's a problem, maybe this child will not be able to speak, and you move on. Because I can imagine. No usual village health facilities do not have the kind of expertise we're talking about.
That's true.
So what happens when a child with delayed speech is delayed in seeking therapy?
We still intervene. Of course, we do not expect that this speech will be acquired. At a certain point, the first intervention we do is, if a child is older, we look at what else could have caused it. Like we send you to an audiologist, the hearing is checked. We check, are there other underlying conditions that are affecting speech? And remember, we do not teach speech in speech therapy. We teach communication. Because if you can communicate, there are different ways of communicating. If this child cannot say cup, but we give them, we call them AAC devices, alternative augmentative communication, where you have a tablet and you tap on a picture and the picture says the word for you. We give you a model of communication, because we say communication is a right, not a privilege. Every child should be able to communicate. Every individual should be able to communicate. So what are the other ways we can teach you to communicate? As we work towards a speech, if that child is able to have speech, as we work towards that journey, how can we introduce a form of communication for that child? So that is what we look at first of all, a mode of communication. That reduces the behavior issues, because as a child communicates, behavior problems go down.
Okay. Is autism the same as, Asperger?
Asperger's.
It's spelled differently. Okay.
So autism, Asperger's is a part of what currently in what we call we use what we call DSM-5 for diagnosis. It's a diagnostic tool that is used. So initially, Asperger's was different from autism, but right now they've put it under one title, under one umbrella, which is autism. Like the way it was years ago, before 2013, we had the DSM-4 that was being used. DSM-2 was being used previous to that, and autism was under mental conditions. That is why a child would be sent to Madaraka for diagnosis. Now, as the research goes on, as we get to understand and do more, technology also is helping, we are getting to place it specifically where it should be.
Okay. Does somebody get cured of autism, or do you say that you then are able to live with the challenges of the condition? What happens?
There's no cure for autism.
Okay.
Autism is managed. It's a condition that is managed. You know how to live. You know what are your triggers. So there's a lot of intensive therapy, especially by ABA practitioners who are called applied behavior analysis practitioners, and they will give you how do you relate to this. Because understanding a person with autism or an individual with autism, one of the biggest challenges is understanding social cues. When you give me a fish, if I'm talking to you and you do this, automatically, something I've said might have offended you. Yes, a child with autism might not. That just goes on. You might have an issue with your face, so I keep going on. They don't realize this. So it is teaching them. We teach them specifically. When you see this face, this is anger, this is frustration. You teach them to see it. So you see it, you relate with it. That is how. So it is teaching them how to manage it. There is no cure for autism. An individual, early interventions allows an individual to function fully as an independent individual, but they will still have challenges. But what you do is, these are your triggers. This is how you respond to them. This is how you can go.
The thing about modern science. It has taught us that for everything that we are now currently told there is no cure, you must not take it that is
the end.
Yes, it is not the end. There are many things that we're told there were no. Before penicillin, because Alexander Fleming came across it accidentally, and the very idea of or concept of antibiotics was foreign and alien. Now, from what research has informed us, what part does one's hereditary play in autism? Do we know, do we understand how it can be passed on from parents to children? Do we understand the triggers that may exist even in the mildest form but which later on can grow? And then do we know that once a child is born, that there are things that, or there are situations within their environment that can not only trigger but can exacerbate a condition that was mild and make it something that it wasn't originally?
So currently, we know very little in matter science and autism. Why? Because like I said initially, it appears differently to each individual. So when we have a case study, it is easier to have a case study when the condition is the same across the board. But when a condition is unique to an individual, we have to look at all these parts. So of course, continued research will give us more information about it. But currently what you, especially in the African setup, in the Kenyan context, is equipping our locations with all these specialists who continue doing the study. Unfortunately, in the country itself, we are less than 100 speech therapists in the country. So, and you look at it in that, think of this, even having 10,000 doctors is still not enough for the Kenyan population. So we're very few of us. What can we do? We're doing a lot of community outreaches. We're equipping the teachers so that the teachers can see these red flags and start. There are things that we can intervene from a school setup, like modify this communication. If this child has an issue with settling, identify, are they seeking to climb on locations? Is it about movement? Give them something to step so they can move and settle in a class setup. So how do we equip these locations? And we are going out there and doing a lot of community outreaches. We are training families. We are doing caregiver workshops so that eventually what we will have is before we have nannies in the household, the nanny knows how to work with children regardless of what it is. Understanding that TV is amazing, but TV is also a hindrance. How do we go back to what a child belongs to the village and not to a household. I remember growing up, I would be whooped by my neighbor and they will report and my mom whoops me again. Right now, you do that to a child, even in a school setup, you're taken to the police and everything goes south. Yeah. Going back to, we've picked the Western culture a lot, which is very sad. We've picked everything good, bad, and evil from the West, and we've forgotten our traits as Africans. That this child is brought up by the society and not by one person. Yeah.
You know, prevalence, I'm still on this thing of research. Yeah? What do we see, if you look at the spectrum of autism, what aspect of this spectrum do we see as common? Because you say it's broad, yes, but surely there must be some aspects that are more common than others.
Well, common in what sense?
Common in that it's more prevalent than others.
So right now what we're seeing and it's because of the diagnosis. I don't want to be quoted that one boy said this. What we are seeing right now is because of the with knowledge and information, most parents are seeking this intervention. And what is happening is a child is given a diagnosis of a child has level 1 autism because they're not settling in class, they're having this and this, they're having this and this. But when the interventions are put in, then the parent comes back to us and tells us, I don't think my child had autism. I think they were just not settled. So what we are doing is this: when a parent gets the diagnosis, this is what we're advising them. It's good you've gotten the diagnosis. Please leave Dr. Google alone for a bit. Just come to us. Let us give you interventions. If you focus on the condition, you will not focus on the interventions. So you've been given, that is a label you've been given, and luckily in this country it's not yet going to your record that this person has this condition. It's not, unlike in the US when the diagnosis is done, then it goes to a permanent record. So we are not yet there yet. So when the parent gets that diagnosis or notices these red flags, come in, you'll be given the diagnosis, but let us focus mainly on the intervention.
Wamboi, thank you very much for joining us today. Wamboi Mbogwa is a speech therapist. On this Health Friday, we're discussing autism, delayed speech in children. Thank you very much for all the questions and all the